Hi everyone, welcome to stream. Welcome. We're here to play some Star Rail. Are you excited? I have not played it yet. I'll be starting up the game for the first time. Well, actually logging into the game for the first time. I've started it up, but I didn't log in. Just to make sure it was all updated and all that good stuff. But it has no more updates. But yeah, I'm here with Lady Rain and Momo, and we're gonna talk Star Rail as I play it and see what it's all about. I'm sure you guys, most of you, have probably already downloaded it and started playing it late last night. You guys have to tell me about it. What you think? And how much you like it. Here goes. Hi, Lady Rain.
Hi.
Welcome.
It's here too.
Make sure we can hear you. Let's see.
We all got 80 warps for
Oh, nice. 80? Wow. Hi, Momo. We can hear you too. There we go. Alright, so as you can tell, I haven't started the game yet, so I'm gonna hit start and I'm sure I have to log in and all that cool stuff. Sorry, EU.
What? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I want to play both. If I have anything to say about Genshin and games in general, I get that they can't put everybody on one server, but it would be amazing if they could.
What are you doing, Monty? Leave him be.
It would be nice if you could just choose.
Yeah. Or you could switch back and forth. Ooh, yeah.
With the same character.
Yeah, okay.
It's not like there's
It's
how do you call it?
kind of hard to transfer all that data constantly.
Back and forth on the actual servers, yeah. Because it's stored on those servers and in the cloud versus...
That's why it took so long with Final Fantasy XIV to even allow hopping servers.
Oh, because it's all servers then or something, or?
Yeah, because so the way Final Fantasy works is they have data centers. And then you have servers on top of that. So you have so many servers within a data center, and for a long time you couldn't hop data centers. Now you can.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to start. I like the idea that it's a train in space. I think that's really cool. It's the name Star Rail.
Do you, by the way, know the game Void Train?
The game what?
Void Train.
No, I don't.
It's a cool game too. It is a train in a void. It's kind of like the idea of raft.
I bet train ticket sales go up this month. What you want to bet?
What? Yeah, right.
And they have no idea why. They're like, oh, it's because it's summer and people are traveling, and we're like, no. It's probably because of a video game.
Yeah.
You know? What?
All the normies go like, what? I don't understand.
Radio.
Meanwhile,
hi, Radio.
I went
yes.
a bit with yesterday.
Go for it.
Level up more in Genshin. Trying to catch up with you guys.
At least catch up with Mono.
Yeah.
Mono's the one you gotta shoot for.
17?
25.
25.
Oh well, yeah, I'm not gonna catch up probably. But
Very punctual,
25 and holding.
and holding.
For a long time. I can force myself to level up, but I haven't. How was your day? It's going good, Radio. Thanks. It's going much better now that I'm here. I'll be honest, my day was pretty hectic and as always, but I'm here and I'm playing games with you guys, so that makes me happy. My day is always an adventure. It's always full of surprises, that the unexpected. That's how my life works. So you're sitting here chugging along, you got your day planned in your mind, you go to work and you sit down and it's like, poof. Nope. This is your job today. Yeah, derailment. Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, you just threw a challenge at me today, and I've anticipated this challenge for a year, but I didn't know today was the day. So today was the day that you were faced with this challenge that I wished I had been training a year for. And that's all I'm gonna say. That was my day. Yeah. So, but I managed to make miracles happen. I don't know how I do it.
Because you're a fantastic miracle worker. That's what you do.
I have to get hyper focused and just concentrate when things like that happen. Super hyper focused to the point that I answer the phone the way I did a year ago, and to the point that people go to me, "Are you in a bad mood?" I'm like, "No, just really hyper focused." It's like I'm concentrating. I'm just super concentrating. Like, okay. I was like, I've never had anybody afraid to ask me about a project because they thought I was in a bad mood, and I'm like, no, I'm just really focused right now.
It's kind of weird to ask that to a coworker as well.
Well, she was my ex-boss, so...
Okay.
So, she kind of predicts your personality and tries to determine how you're feeling before she even talks to you, so... She means well, but she's like, oh god, she's gonna hate me for this project, because she was basically throwing another wrench in my stack, and she was kind of like, oh, I know what you're dealing with today, because you already, derailed one of the things I wanted you to do. I was like, yeah, I told her basically I couldn't do one of the things she needed me to do today. I was like, yeah, I can't do that today. I've got this project. She's like, oh, I feel sorry for you. Good luck. This kind of thing. So yeah. That's the kind of day I had. But no, it's all good. I guess I should click things, right? Instead of staring at this jiggling graphic of a logo on a screen. System time. Very punctual. Okay, here's gonna be a lot of words. They're really hard to say. So we're just gonna do this now. Words. Oh, I can't words. Yeah, there you go. Breathe. Kafka? I'm pretty sure that's not how you say your name. Kafka. So it's like...
I think it is, yeah.
Okay.
Actually.
Kafka.
Elio always tells the exact future. So what's with the explosion just now? Was that also part of his script?
You mean Franz Kafka?
2344 15.
Oh wait, oh that's her name. Oh actually,
Yeah.
it's a German writer. I
control system.
You wrote
Got
really
you all
slow.
Confused.
Yeah, because I wasn't looking at the screen for a second, so I just heard the word Kafka. I was like, how do you know him? Because I'm really traumatized by that writer. We had to read it in high school.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It was such a pervy book to make
You did that.
teenagers read, in my opinion.
No, the Antimatter Legion did it. They completely invaded
Like
the
this
space
writer,
station 2
he
system
would
hours ago.
Talk about private parts.
Alright.
Oof.
So do we
in a
need
really
to fight the
disgusting way,
Legion?
in my opinion, like her clam
Oh.
opened underneath the table and such.
Oh,
stuff.
jeez.
And I just couldn't see my teacher in the same light after he made us read
matter.
that book.
Oh god. Like,
Yeah.
Got
that's
it.
definitely not something that we
So
would have
from
read here
now
in the United
on,
States teenagers, like,
I'll be in
at
charge of
all.
this operation.
Copy. Can you let me
Especially
have some
not
fun
that
this time?
horrible of writing.
Our
Good
last few
God.
operations turned out to be
I
pretty
hate it when
dull.
men write.
Sorry, I'm afraid there is
Like that,
not
okay,
much I can do for you. Our task this time is just to
No, I don't care if
place
they
the
write,
target
but I just
properly.
don't like it when they...
She talks in a very mundane voice. Like, like, I don't know,
But
like,
if you want to go look for
but
some fun yourself,
if you want to.
I won't stop you. I mean, after all. After all, Elio didn't put it in the script. Why would it matter?
Ooh, like Elio, the Elio.
That combi crochet pattern is amazing.
Basic attack. So we start off straight going into attack modes. Single target, Q. Okay.
Didn't hurt.
Okay, so select an enemy. Right. Target. Press switch your skill for a stronger attack. E. Right. Use the skill and select enemy. So E. Ree! Q and E. So they couldn't give me the same operation mechanism as Genshin. Of course
Nope.
not.
I know, I was like...
Oh, and you get a sprint with your mouse somehow?
Yep. That's also something
Oh.
Genshin, isn't it?
No, it's shift.
No, I can hit shift.
Can
But
you hit shift in here?
You can also write...
Oh, you can, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna shift because that's what I'm accustomed to. Oh, I didn't know you could right click and get you. I only ever shift. A wild basculin appeared, so poke catcher. We're doing Pokemon today, guys.
So. I'm kidding.
What? Okay, so we're gonna go over here to this console, but there's also a thing. Official communities. Dots. Check in. Oh yeah. We'll do that later when I can.
Ooh, bokeh catch.
I'm sure I can't do that yet. News. Notices. This looks like Genshin.
Yeah.
Except for the dots aren't going away. Go away, dots! All of you. Every last one. I'm not reading like I should be.
It should have like a rattle kind of thing.
Who needs to read these days? You just know by the pictures. It looks like Genshin close enough.
When did the
I love her
Antimatter
ultimate.
Legion become so
So I
weak?
understand what you're talking about, Momo.
Yeah.
Only attract this much.
Yes,
Did you
she
really
touches
want the
her face.
entire Legion to come here?
Oh, I hate that it forced my camera angle to
Won't be
change.
able to slow down the
I was
Astro
running.
Express crew.
Relax. A Doomsday Beast is also here.
Ooh. Doomsday Beast. Ooh. Okay, so Q. The enemy is now within the character attack range. Okay. So it wasn't before. Weakness. What? Oh, so I wasn't quite in the attack mode thing. All characters possess a powerful ultimate which can be used when their energy is full. Ooh. Fight your enemies to regenerate. What? Oh no! Oh, it's their turn. You're now full. So turn-based, isn't it?
Time to say bye.
AoE. Oh.
Boom.
I'm not used to turn-based fighting.
Cleaning up other people's mess isn't in my job description. You know, Kafka?
Kafka. Kafka.
Yeah. Where did you send it, Silverwolf?
Some random coordinates, not important. You care about where that Void Ranger ended up?
She's cool looking.
Of course not. I'm just amazed at this fancy technique of yours, as usual.
Just a little trick of tampering with the data of reality. I wouldn't call it fancy.
Data of reality.
What were you looking at so intently just now? Let me see.
Hey, Grubby! New game, yes! Welcome. So does everybody get drops on every stream, or is it certain streams you have to go to get drops?
Herta's Toys.
Thanks for the hugs, man!
The space station's collection of rare items. They've got a lot of interesting gadgets.
Oh, the huggies.
Momo gets the cookies. She stole the cookies from you, Mr. Grubby.
It just
My cookie.
says to go to a
Like what?
participating live channel, which is you, so.
Huh. Does it say they're on? Probably
There's
not.
this gun. It can rate any creature within its crosshair as a score from 0 to 100.
I don't see anything.
Doesn't sound very interesting.
It may not be active yet.
Aren't you
Should be
curious
already.
about how much you would score? I kinda wanna know mine.
Probably have to go like view all streamers and see if some of them are selected for it or something.
What's our destination?
Go
See, like,
down
you
the
pop
corridor
up
behind
on
the
there.
door
Okay,
on
so
the
it's
left.
interesting.
There's a room where some kind of rare item is stored.
Where'd it go? Okay.
Oh, so that's where the Stellaron is.
Stellaron. What is Stellaron?
That's where we can find out where the Stellaron is.
Silverwolf Story has joined the team temporarily. Click anywhere in the blank area to close.
You don't have drops in your title, but it's interesting because I opened one who has drops in the title, and it's there. So
Must be select streamers then.
I don't think so.
Unless there is a page to sign up for it. Or it's because I'm not that far in the game yet. So switch players, but that's confusing because it also activates your alt with one and switches players. How can one key do both things?
You have okay. Hold on. I got you, Mono.
Okay.
I'm gonna DM you a link.
Okay. So there is a sign up.
Yeah, you have to connect Honkai to Twitch. Because it's separate from
Alright, let's do this.
Genshin.
Ooh.
The server's still not open. Ugh.
Log in there. Server. Nameless UID. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Only because I don't have a name yet. What's this one about? Space things and stuff? I don't really know. That's a good question. It's a space
Yeah,
adventure.
He's moved up there.
The server's
Okay,
still
link
not
and
open.
activate Twitch drops. Confirm. Sure you want to link and activate drops. Congratulations, you successfully connected your account. Confirm. Okay. Twitch drops. Which streams should I watch to earn them? How do I know if it's participate? How long? After activating Twitch drops, you can participate in the campaign by watching StarRail streams. You can any honkaistarrail streams. You can confirm all information at campaign launch. Okay, so I should technically be able to turn on drops now, as like in my title. Let's see.
Server's still not open.
This is based just like Genshin, Grubby, except for this is like, it's made by the same people, but it's in space.
And turn-based.
You just download it on your phone? Yeah. But it's turn-based, too. So it's a little bit different fighting and combat format and stuff like that, but it's made by the same people with Genshin, so it has a lot of similarities. A lot of gotcha similarities. Did I put the S on drops?
Yeah,
No, I didn't.
yeah. I just got
You
the
did?
message for drops. on your
Okay.
channel.
I should add the S. Done.
No,
There.
we're just dropping everything.
I downloaded it on my phone. See, these games have me hooked because this one and Genshin both allow viewers to get drops. And Genshin, though, allows me to earn rewards for streaming it, and I'm sure this one will eventually. So Genshin has me hooked streaming that. I'll be streaming that again this weekend as well. So I'm going to be going back and forth between these two games a lot. Plus the new game I got, Roots of Pacha. So lots of gaming to be had. Be less creative streams for a little while. Sad. But yeah, no, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. This is kind of like Final Fantasy meets Genshin, I think.
The space station is up ahead. There will be lots of Legion Void Rangers there.
Okay.
I think. You guys know. Ambush. What? Oh. Yeah. What? So they get to go first because they ambushed me. Okay. Characters and enemies act sequence from the top to the bottom. Order action. Okay. Ultimates are not affected by the action order and can be used in any turn. Ooh. Okay. So then... Oh dang, he's strong as all get out. Oh, that's right, it's EE. EE! That's how I'm gonna remember that. Re. You are at full energy. Activate your ultimate now. Which is also how you switch characters, but I guess you can't switch characters while you're in battle because it's not that kind of game, so it doesn't matter. That makes sense now.
I will tell you now that if you activate your ultimate, you can then attack, but don't attack before you do your ultimate.
Wow. Right.
At this speed, too slow.
2. And then you can do like the attack. Okay. If needed. Nico Nico Ni! Welcome Dash! Thank you, thank you, thank you! Nico Nico Ni! New feature available tutorial. View all unlocked tutorials. Oh god, I don't like the idea that there's that many tutorials. Do I have to do tutorials? Hi Turtle! Welcome, welcome, welcome! Open tutorial. Okay, so Alt key is still my favorite key. Fast. Next. Oh, it's just like Genshin, never mind. And it's just reviewing everything we just went over, in case I wasn't paying attention. Okay. Alright, that's cool. Because we know I don't read any of the Genshin tutorials. Just got home and just ate, haven't eaten all day. Oh no. I barely ate this afternoon. I had an ice cream bar and now I have a drink. That's my dinner. But I did eat all day. Carrot's so yummy. I had stuff to make a salad, but I didn't feel like it. I laid in bed until it was time to stream.
Hold it.
It was just one of those days, like, I can't be bothered to do anything. I came home and fell on the bed. I was like, I need some downtime. Literally.
Yeah.
Some horizontal time. It's like, to recover.
Can't imagine.
Someone or something is up ahead.
Someone or something is up ahead. Baddies. With shiny
Looks like
silver
we're the
space
ones
blades.
being ambushed.
I like them.
But they're the ones getting besieged.
Besieged. Ooh. Encoding overload? What the heck? Why does it say encoding overload? Looks okay. Everything looks okay.
Yeah, you're running fine.
Yeah.
It's just being wonky. I know it did that to me in Genshin the other day.
Might just be the game slightly spicy a little bit. Mm. Check my extras. Seems to be running pretty smooth. I mean, my GPU's at 70%, but that's not bad. There's quite a lot of dialogue, just so you know. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there like an autoplay button?
No, not yet. Wait, maybe.
Yeah. It's the little
Symbols?
little sand.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
they're up in the top right.
Okay.
Right.
Versus left, yeah. Skill point is a combat resource shared by the whole team. Switch to
You
a
did
skill.
that to me the other day.
What?
You did what now?
Oh. Puddles.
Oh.
Standing on the
Time to
stand next to
move.
Oh,
the door.
EE. Consume skills points to use. Oh, so you need skill points to do E.
You took the bait just like that.
Then you can go. You have been. All skill points have been used. Did you have to have skill points in order to do? Yeah, in order to do your E. Okay. Basic attacks are activated, or I can skip my basic attack. Use basic attacks to recover skill points. They're gonna make me do a basic attack. I don't want to. I want to do my ult. Look at you. I know how to play this game. My little ult is full. I want to use my ult. They wouldn't let me. It's like, no. You gotta do the tutorial.
May as well kill them all.
Yup.
Good times never last.
Kill them all, please.
Time to say bye. Boom.
Boom. Oh, they got a smidgen left. Oof. I could switch players. Oh, because they're turn ordered.
A single soul here. Impressive evacuation work. Did Herta organize
Keep trying to
it
switch
herself?
player orders. Because I want to play them in the order I want to play them. I don't want to play what they want me to play in order.
According to the access history, she hasn't logged in here for over 6 months. The evacuation was directed by the acting lead researcher, a girl named Asta.
yeah, you need patience.
It doesn't
for
ring
that
a
one.
bell. Oh, right. Elio said we wouldn't run into Herta. It
Right,
seems
Bozo?
she really isn't here.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the Stellaron?
Elio's script doesn't include any info about the location of the Stellaron, which means in the future he foresees...
We would find the Stellaron in a non-physical way.
This space station is packed with extraordinary objects. I wouldn't be surprised if there's one that can make it happen.
Hiding something extraordinary with something extraordinary. This is pretty Herta. I assume you know what to do. I mean, you've read the
No
catalog
one
for
caught
quite
the
a while.
horsey.
I've got all the clues we
Oh
need.
my god.
The only piece missing is a simple trick. Help me investigate the terminal in this room. Our item might be inside.
Both of them gave us nothing.
Okay.
I know,
the
we wasted our
stage is
Pokeballs.
Yeah. My precious balls.
Mm-hmm. What notifications we got now? Skill point tutorial things. Okay, so now we're gonna look. It says Silverwolf and investigating the terminal in the monitoring room. Ooh, what is that? Why does that have a thing on it? That's not what I'm supposed to look at, but I'm afraid if I touch it, it's gonna blow up.
I can see the whole space station on the surveillance
Oh
screen.
yeah, you can kill those.
But not the
You can
Stellaron.
Flash those.
Even if you
Not a
could,
bomber.
it'd be a trap. Herta doesn't display her collections.
Wink, wink.
It's what? Not a bomb?
No.
Is that what you said? What did you say?
Nothing.
Oh god, I'm scared. Yeah.
I didn't even hear her because I was talking to Dalton about dinner.
Just keeping
Destructible objects.
Yes. Auntie.
Oh,
I
plants!
I spoiled that it was nothing. I was like, oh no, I shouldn't do that.
So then I had to kick it and find out if I had lost my life.
Yep. You're fine.
I can't see
I
the
lived!
storage for this terminal.
She lives.
This is the monitoring room. They must have deleted the records and made a run for it.
Scary.
Classic. Make your way over here then. There's no point in trying to search like this.
Does this sound good on stream, Turtle?
So, got a master plan? I'm all ears.
Can you hear everybody?
It's a matter
Can you hear
of
me?
hacking the surveillance system directly.
Aha, I see. Herta's collections aren't in the system, so anything unaffected should be our target.
I was so stupid. I didn't update or upgrade any of my weapons. I was like, why is this such a hard fight? Like, they're the same level.
You didn't upgrade anything?
Crude,
No, I was
but
basically fighting him
effective.
with level
Look,
1 swords.
Found it.
Stupid murmur.
I think I have the game up louder than normal, so if I ask Han a lot, it's because the music is louder than their voices in the game, so I have to, like, until I can adjust individual volumes, I have to hear myself out here.
How dare you?
I know, right? Put in my other earpiece might help. Now I got 2 ears for a little bit until I get overwhelmed.
It's grateful my sounds transferred over. Don't have to reset them.
Your sounds for your phone? Oh.
Yeah,
Cool.
That's nice. Oh, you got it!
I did.
Nice.
Yeah. Got all my apps. I had to go in and sign into most of them, but
Honestly,
What's
that's
this?
what I love from
I
Item
didn't
number
have to sign
211,
into Bingo.
Blind spot. A simple light deflecting field.
Of all
It
the
allows
things,
an object
I
in
did
its
not have to
field
sign
to
into
pass
Bingo.
unnoticed. But if a different
that.
God.
light
Gives you,
ceases to be
gives you
obvious,
such a hard
the
time,
object
and now
gets
it's like, no,
revealed.
it's fine. I got you.
Oh, Herta hides her collection with something as simple as this?
The simplest method is the hardest to spot. Isn't that
So
our
I now
motto?
just have an extra SIM card because this one came with a SIM card in it. Because I ordered the SIM card before my phone. Great.
Ooh.
I let Mono get ahead of me. Damn it.
What?
You're ahead of me now.
In the game?
Strange
Ew.
thing number 2.
Wow.
The data suggests it's just an ordinary hologram, but it has an added
You were playing
layer.
too, Rain.
I know,
Let's
but
take a
I,
look.
like, I didn't
Don't
play
worry,
any of it
this
after
place won't be
Oh, I thought you did last
pressed
time.
the menu yesterday. Yeah. I did
No,
a
but I
little
thought
bit.
you were playing now.
Yeah. I basically started a little bit.
Oh,
ahead of
jeez.
Mono.
Interesting.
When
She's a
you're
member
actually
of
reading
the
the
Genius
thing.
Society, all right.
The stellar round is up ahead. Let's hurry.
Or not. You're reading the dialogue. Or
Yeah.
listening to it. Yeah,
I'm listening.
that's a difference. That will take some time. Damn it, I wanted a horsey. So what you got? What did you eat, turtle?
It has its own security system. I guess even for her to
Well,
Stellaron
guess
is no ordinary
On the
rarity.
same page now.
Can you get it?
Of course. Even the genius Herda can't compete with me when it comes to hacking.
Good. Then I'll also count on you with the preparation of the receptacle.
Risco! Not a lot. We're just still doing tutorial things.
Decision.
Another gotcha game? Yep.
You did get her
Elio said this
prime
decision
attack,
will
right?
bring about lots of changes.
Huh?
He also
Oh, no.
said it must
Huh?
be you
Get
who
the-
makes it.
You did have the big attack already, yeah? From
No.
the lady.
No.
Not yet? Oh, you're still. Oh. How did you see it?
You
Ray?
seem excited.
Oh,
Yeah.
she did.
Oh,
She's done her ultimate.
Yeah. I did my ultimate.
how did
I
you-
thought she said purple lady.
Yeah, she's-
Why are
she
you
has purple
standing
hair, right?
around?
Mhm.
Want to give her a new name?
Mm.
She is purple.
Oh no! Just kidding. Just kidding. Mona. The cat or Mona? We'll do Mono.
You're gonna think for this long? Didn't
Yeah.
make up your mind when you got out of bed this morning?
No!
Don't
I never
hurry,
make up my
Simple
mind.
Wolf. This is a big decision.
But yes, I'm excited,
There we
Rizco.
go.
Bio, did you download it too? I bet you did.
How much
It's
did
like-
she remember?
Genshin meets Final Fantasy.
Time to get up.
Guess so. Look, she touched your booty.
So did this star
Oh,
bring me to life? Is that it? It's weird.
a space
Did I have Final
station,
Fantasy? That's
but
true.
that's not important.
Kinda gave me
Listen,
Howl's Moving Castle
You are in a
vibes
daze right now. You don't know who you are,
because of that
why
part.
you're here, or what you're going to do next. You think I look
Don't know
familiar,
if anybody
but
saw
you're
Howl's
not
Moving
sure if you
Castle,
should
but-
trust me.
Mhm.
None of that matters. All you need
Did
to
you
know
see that,
is
Mona?
that I'm leaving,
Mhm.
and you will be left all alone
You know the
on
part
this
where
space station.
Calcifer goes back.
From now on, you needn't think about your past or doubt yourself. Listen, in the near future, you will encounter all kinds of perils and
Are we just really
hardships,
soft?
but you will also
No, I'm just
meet
listening to what they're saying.
adventures, and
Oh,
you'll
okay.
meet
Well, shut up.
companions who
It's hard to
will
listen to
let
you and the
lead
dialogue at the same time.
on surreal adventures with them.
I'll try and time it better.
And the game's really loud still.
All that perplexes you and troubles you will resolve. This is your future that Elio has foreseen.
Ooh, squeaky
like it?
turtle!
But yeah, no, I don't mean to be rude, but they're just like the dialogue is louder than you guys in my ear, and I don't know how it is for stream, so I don't know. Yeah, Turtle, you're back, so tell me about volume levels as we go. Like, you know, am I too quiet? Game too loud? Momo said your name. Are they too loud? Are they too quiet? New game, new volume levels to figure out.
Squeaky turtle.
Lovely. Hey, remember what you feel in this moment. As long as you know in your heart where you're heading, you're guaranteed to see the ending of your story. That's the you I like.
There's an ending? I
How
doubt
long do
it.
you think you need? According to the script, the Astral Express crew is arriving soon. We should avoid being seen by them.
I know.
Game volume is
Silver
quiet.
Wolf.
That's
Just give
crazy.
me another minute. I must leave now. Don't worry, someone will come and find you very soon.
Try that.
Just go
Oh, it's
with
because
them.
of your Windows.
You won't remember a
Yeah.
thing except me.
Better? Okay. Alright, because I can make the game louder, but it also makes them louder. Wayne and Clum. Wayne and Clum will be louder too. They'll be louder than me now that I turn up the game. That's the only crazy part.
When you have a chance to make a choice, make one that you know you won't regret.
Alright, say something, Momo and Rain.
Weren't their coordinates sent out from the space station?
Who cares? They're here and alive. Do they look like a mannequin to you?
Weak heartbeat and pulse. March, you better do CPR.
Huh? I've never done it before. Don Hung, you do it. Wait, stop it. They're awake.
He wanted that kiss.
Are
Sorry.
you alright? Can you hear me? Do you remember your name? Aw, this isn't good. Can you try harder? I'm sure you can at least remember your name.
Rain is fine? Okay.
Spoken.
Well, nice to meet you. My name's Don Hung,
Fight you.
and this is March 7th.
Come at me, bro.
This space station was just attacked by the Antimatter Legion. We came to help with the rescue at the request of lead researcher Asta.
Normal graphics? Oh, like on a big screen versus a phone? Right?
Yeah, it is.
Goons owned by the destruction. You're lucky the most dangerous Lord Ravager among them isn't around. Just some nasty minions.
Probably.
We'll take those invaders
I
out
sure
soon.
hope so.
Don't worry.
I mean,
Be
come on.
mad if I bought a new phone.
Yeah,
and
no,
it doesn't
that's
work.
possible. I mean, it's better than my.
I can't.
current
It's
phone.
literally my suggested. If it'll
Uh-huh. A petite cutie
Actually-
with pink hair? Madame Herta
Nice
appointed her
color.
to be the acting lead researcher.
Yeah.
Guys caught it.
It's the case.
That girl
But
really
look,
needs to
both
step up.
Kenshin
I
and
can't believe
Honkai.
her own employee
Whoa.
doesn't even know her name.
Quality. Everything on very low turtle so you can have more battery life.
We're suggested. But I prefer.
Back to the Master Control Zone. Asta and the other researchers have gathered there.
Plus, that's where we parked the Astral Express. Don't you worry. We'll protect you from the monsters and clear up this mess.
Who are you guys?
Don Hung and I are members of the Astral Express
Come on,
crew.
Get the boy.
Well, the Express has some dealings with Madame Herta, so we come to visit the space station from time to
It's
time.
gonna take forever.
We just so happened to arrive
So,
during
the
this
case is just
invasion.
purple.
Of course,
Hey.
as a crew
That's
of
the color
heroes,
of the phone.
we're happy to
Not
lend
the
a
sage
hand.
green one.
Mhm.
It's definitely more green
Yeah.
in person.
You've never seen it?
Why do you get so
The
many
Express
cases?
comes
though?
here every once in a while.
Why do you get so many cases?
I love
A
her
unique train
colors.
that
What do
can
you
travel between the stars.
Wasn't
with
that
the
another
power of the
case?
Trailblaze Eon.
Yeah.
I'll show you once
This
we're
isn't
back
for
to the
this phone.
Master
This
She's
is for
Control
my old
Zone.
phone.
What was the green one you just showed?
That's the phone itself.
Oh.
You and March go back together.
Oh.
Arlan from the
Nice.
security
Spot the
department
one
lost
case.
contact in the vicinity. I need to find him first.
March.
Oh,
She's named after a
alright.
month?
You stay safe.
Yeah.
March 7th.
Oh god. I couldn't find
Just
the
gets
map.
hot and stays that way. You're gonna melt your phone.
Maybe you should bring this.
Maybe
The
she.
Legion
That
are
was pretty close. I should just name
rampaging
that
space
name.
station like a pack of wolves. This trip won't be a walk in the park. It's better
Like a
if you have
console
something
version?
to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion, though. You're safe as long as you stick with me.
View details of all unlocked characters. Click anywhere in the blank hide area to close. A feature available. Characters. We know how to do this. Yay. Detailed information. Each character has their own type. Mono is a physical type character. Each character has their own path. Mono is a character that follows the path of destruction. Oh. Like March. Characters come in different types and paths, learn blah blah blah. So her character type is preservation. And she is an ice type. Ooh, I like her better than myself already. I like March better than myself. Oh, Risco. Who wants to buy my first Star Rail? Who wants to be my first Star Rail friend? I'll be your friend when I can, but I can't yet, I don't think.
Oh, we can, yeah.
Nice. So we can level up eventually. When we have items. I don't know if I can be friends yet. This is more Pokemon than Genshin. Rain is mean. Don't wanna.
Ow, rude.
Oh, bookshelf is yeah, it doesn't have friends yet. Trailblazer profile. You put a birthday in here. There you go. Characters on 2 achievements unlocked 1. Support character. Please select from the list to the left. Yeah. Claim. Credit. Initiate support. Tools. Friends show up later in the game. Sweet. Okay. Don't remind me, I haven't downloaded internal files yet. Oh no. Yeah, no friends yet.
This place is full of fancy little gadgets. Herta's collection. I really don't get why she'd go out of her way to collect them and then leave them here to gather dust.
Dang.
It's the Antimatter Legion. So these crazy jerks made it all the way here.
Rain, add me please. I don't know if Rain's any further along than I am.
No, I'm right about the same spot.
Type of icon indicates when the enemy is weak. Oh. The white bar below the weak type indicates the enemy's toughness. Single target. Using attacks of the same type of the enemy's weakness type will deplete the enemy's toughness. You gotta match types in order to deplete weakness. Attacks can deplete enemy toughness to 0. Physical attacks inflict weak breakers to cause enemies to bleed. Ooh. more traps. My phone is about to die. I hope.
My
Hop
turn.
on the game on my tablet and so on. Grinding efficiency. Oh, jeez.
Turtle going at it.
Let's make it quick.
We're just gonna end you.
You have the worst luck running into me.
Mm-hmm.
Watch this.
It doesn't seem that powerful. Enemy while
You're stronger
waiting
than
you
look.
to hit him.
Quite the fighter.
He's like, he hit me already. I'm just gonna stand here and look pretty.
Probably won't, Turtle.
You learned about weaknesses, Stellar Jade. Imagine Mono not ascending either in this game. Yep, not gonna happen. We're gonna be level 25 and holding forever. I'm hungry though. Dang. Should have got some food. Might have to get a Hot Pocket or something.
They don't order foods.
Hmm?
So we'll take
Said we
that
done
elevator
ordered
on the
foods.
central platform to go down to the master control zone. Do you know the way? I noticed that you're not wearing the space station staff uniform.
You'll have to grind like crazy, you'll be fine.
Do you
Okay.
really work here? Memory loss, huh? You must have been injured. Never mind. I won't ask if you don't want to talk about it.
She doesn't remember!
I'll take you to the
How's she
safe
gonna
zone.
talk about it? Basic treasure. Treasures are scattered across the world. You may find things of great value exploring, defeating your enemies. Okay. Ooh, there's treasure chest. I'm excited now. Da-da-da. Anything in those? No. Enemy's weakness type can be viewed after approaching them. Ooh. Enter battle with an attack that matches the enemy's weakness type can reduce the toughness of the enemy in advance. Sweet.
You are not helping. I only have so much room.
Oh.
My turn.
Mono is locked on by the enemy and will be attacked first. Okay. 7th follows with the path of preservation and can protect allies. Ooh. How does she protect them? EE? Ree! Select Mono, who is currently
What's
being locked
wrong?
on.
Afraid of what I might do.
Use skills to shield Mono.
With me out here, how can we lose?
So E does everything. Got it. Jeez, Mono, you're waiting for him to hit you. LOL. Yep, just gonna wait all day. When a character takes damage, the shield effect will be reduced.
You can't run! Try that again! Gotta try hard sometimes.
Ooh, I like the graphic puppet thing.
Check out this awesome move!
Check out my leg! That's what she just said! She's like, check out my leg! Did you see that sly hand move? Look at my leg!
It's gotta be distracting somehow.
Yeah! I swear that's just what she did, yeah.
Rules are made to be broken.
No, she didn't say that, but she's like, check out my move! And she like made your eye go across her leg. Ono is the powerful character that follows the path of destruction. Okay. So, use Multa's ultimate. Okay. So can I use her ultimate too?
Right there.
Oh, that shields again, didn't it?
Let's make it quick.
How do I make sure it doesn't shield? I don't know.
You can't run. You have the worst luck running into me.
Let's go.
Alright, we're just gonna take you out, because I didn't take you out.
Try that again.
There it goes. You learned about shields, and that they can be annoying.
Let me see.
I'm sure they're important too. All the different types. Ice, wind, fire, lightning, quantum. Ooh. Imaginary. Imaginary as a power? Imagination? Power of imagination.
Very, very frightening me.
A wild star you appeared. Okay. I'm gonna heat up a hot pocket real quick because I'm starving. And I don't think enemies can attack me. They'll just, what, like you said, stare at me with a clown face, Risco? Until I make the first move. So, yeah. I'm gonna go make a hot pocket real quick.
Let me see.
Well, basically they can attack you, but you're not in their line of sight, so you're fine.
Yeah.
Because basically what the game has taught you by now is that when you sneak up to them and attack them from the back, you get advantage. You get the first move.
Time to play Genshin and Honkai.
Really? You're gonna do it?
Let me
One of the
see.
phones? Oh my god.
Hey, if I'm given the option to, you know?
Ghost? You calling me a ghost? Ryako? That's because of yesterday, no? Ooh.
You're special.
Cheese.
Oh shit, I'ma die.
Do you know how to use the elevator?
Do you? Well, do you? That's your name. It says
Let
Ryakuchi.
me see.
What else should I call you?
Okay. Well, my food's in the microwave for 2 minutes. Hot pocket, quick, something attacker. No, I agree with you, Ghost. Oh no! As the ghost here gets turning my chair. Star, you caught it?
I know it's
done.
talking.
My food is cooking, so I'm back for a minute. It'll probably be cold by the time I remember to go get it. You know how that works. Recover. Ooh, we can heal here? Anchor, space anchor to restore HP. Duh. You called me Risco? Did I call you Raiko? Oh my god. Risco!
You say Risco? No, I said Riako.
Yeah. Well, I think he said call him Risco with an S though.
How would I know? I'm not the
I don't know. I know.
Momo also wasn't there when it happened.
Yeah, probably that.
How am I supposed to? That's like people saying like, you don't remember me when they change their name.
Oh, I
You're
know.
No, but I don't.
I have that
Desi
happen
Spark!
to me. Like,
The
I
only
was your
time
first-
that
They were saying like I was your first follower, and they actually unfollowed me and whatever, and I was like,
I think the
what?
elevator's
And then I
broken.
noticed at some point,
I pressed
oh,
all
they
the
changed their
buttons,
name.
but nothing
How
happened.
stupid are you? Like, how am I
Too bad
supposed to
Don
know?
Man's not here.
Right? How are you supposed to know they changed their name? You only have to remember like 2,000-3,000 names. How are you supposed to remember?
Elevator repair.
I don't know what. How you mean
especially-
you made it to like 3,000 or 4,000, didn't you?
You do remember the names, but when they change them, that's where the difficulty
Mhm.
happens.
Mhm.
Why are you here? And how did you get here before us?
right.
I took another
But
route to
I
the upper
think
level.
download.
I saw you guys from
Did
up
you see
there.
that they changed their names?
Arlan is in the control
Or
room.
mods?
He's been injured, but not fatally.
So I know at
You found
some
him.
point,
Will he
I
know
don't know
what
if
to
it
do
still
about this
exists.
elevator?
There was
I
a time
suppose
where
as the
Twitch
head of
actually
the
told you
security
their former
department, you
name if
should
it was
know.
within a certain
Yeah.
amount of time since they
Then
changed
let's
Oh,
it.
within a
talk to
certain
him.
I missed that
Yeah.
because it helps.
Yeah.
That certainly helps. I got so sad though when that happened for me. I was like, well, if you're one of my earliest followers, I'm sorry. But they just left. I couldn't
It's
even
cool.
explain myself anymore.
Right? Well, I don't know. I think they were being a little unrealistic.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were. I mean, we're all humans, and especially
That-
when you have like
that-
2,000 names coming in.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, you only get 5 people in your stream. You should remember me. I'm like, no, look at my follower count. There's been like 2,000 something people.
Yeah.
It's like, if I could remember every single person, I 100% would. Because I like to know who I'm talking to.
Exactly.
Words
It's
are
not
hard.
like you do it out of
Right, Driscoll?
disinterest. It's just you being human.
Left. Press and
To be
hold Alt
honest.
to show your cursor. Yeah, we know that.
I once forgot my best friend's name, who I've known since I was 3. So it's not
happens.
personal.
Just-
It's
I
not
forget
personal.
Mono's name sometimes.
See?
Mhm.
And
yeah.
we literally interact with each other almost daily.
Yeah.
It's just human. Character.
You just get blackouts sometimes.
Dead. Well, that and you're just like so focused on something else, you just blurt out a word, and it may not be the right word.
Yeah, also.
I wonder why they're just now teaching me about alts when I already knew. Because I had to get rid of all the red dots. Level up. You're making me level him up? Oh.
Yeah.
Level 4. What about the others? Do I have stuff? No. Only get to level him up. Oh. Because they want you to use him. You're gonna use him. Poor dude. Okay.
Wait, so are we friends now in thingy? I don't see you yet. Did you not accept my friend request yet?
Can't.
You can't.
No, I'm literally right around the same place Mono is, so I can't
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, she just told
No,
Turtle
no,
she
I
couldn't
mean in
either.
Genshin.
Oh, and Genshin?
Oh.
No, I'm
On her
downloading
phone and didn't.
resources.
Alright. She ignored me, Mono. Mono, she's ignoring me. She gave away with a friend.
Reen is so mean.
So mean.
Excuse me.
Such a meanie.
It's mean. I want my pot pie, but I gotta go fight.
go fight this guy.
Can you get special ability to use exploration? Ooh. March out a technique to gain an edge on combat.
Let me see.
Okay. Ooh, she just froze him. Freeze an enemy when the battle starts, and now you can use him to like take them out, or use his E. You can just do more. His E only works on one person though. Interesting.
With me out here, how
Can she protect both of them? No, just one of them.
Let's go.
Gotta try
Sorry.
hard sometimes.
So what?
Check out this awesome move.
Check out this move. I'm gonna pick on Turtle the whole time. Oh.
Try that again.
Just a scratch.
You can't run. You have the worst luck running into me.
Trying to find us in Japan right now.
Aw, gently.
Batter up.
Wish I was in Japan. I'm gonna go one day. I'm saving up.
Yeah.
Do it.
Rules are made to be
Saving up.
broken.
I'm gonna go.
Need any recommendations? Okay.
Okay.
But that's mostly about Tokyo and Kyoto, though I don't know much about the rest.
Oh yeah. That's fine. Let's see. What am I doing now? Oh, spacebar? No. What the heck is she doing? She's broke. Oh, I was supposed to use the other character, I think. Oh, they died.
You couldn't have done it without me.
Of course not. We're friends now. We need each other. Let's see what he sounds like. I think those places that have like that look cool, that have like the basically just the bunk you sleep in, the hole in the wall, but there's have one that's like a manga one.
Astral Express.
It's like a manga hotel though.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
heard us send you
yeah,
to
those are like
It's
oh, you
just a
mean those?
coincidence.
That's internet cafe.
We came to deliver the rare relic Herta trusted us
No,
to
this
find.
is one that's like
We didn't
multiple
expect to
floors
arrive
for
here.
like male and female, but then it's like all manga books. So it's like all these. It's like a library with nooks and crannies that you can sleep
It
in.
seems they just ignored the
Yeah,
surface of the planet and came straight to the space
That's what they
station.
call an internet cafe.
I
Oh.
A section
have
as
no
well. You
idea.
can have private rooms
The
and
Legion came
whatnot.
at a very suspicious time.
This thing thinks the whole
Right
thing is
after
full
the
of books
Security
everywhere. It
Sisters
was really cool
failed.
looking, the one I looked at.
Lead researcher Asta immediately began to organize the
Basically, those are
evacuation.
like the cheap
I was supposed to
Mhm.
cover everyone as they
They call it the
evacuated,
cheap
but
things where you can
I
stay
didn't
and sleep,
expect to end up failing in this task.
and at the same time have entertainment.
Don't be too
It's
hard
what
on
people do
yourself.
when they lose their house.
Your
or
leg and
whatnot,
dominant
so-
hand were injured. It was a
Or
wise
run away.
decision to hide here and avoid a head-on encounter with the Legion.
Yeah.
Seems like that would be
most
the
of staff have
affordable
been
way to go if you want to
evacuated
just
safely.
spend more
So right now our
money on
highest priority is to
excursions and
return to the
things. You
master
could go
control
do
zone
something
and
like
plan a
that.
counterattack.
You could. I'm just
So,
doubting if it's actually a
do you know how to
viable
use the
option.
elevator?
Mhm.
I couldn't start it.
After the
Like, you don't get
evacuation was
a good
complete, the
sleep.
elevators were all shut down to
It's
keep
just
the
a
Legion
chair.
away
It's
from
like
the
a
master
gaming
control
chair,
zone.
and
Since Lady Asta sent you to look for me,
you
I
could do a
assume she
capsule
must
hotel
have
though.
given you the encryption key for
Yeah.
accessing
Those
the
are like
elevator system.
cryo chambers, basically.
Oh, right.
That's
She
crazy.
did give me some sort
Yeah,
of
they're
card.
small, but you can get deluxe ones as well, and then you get like
March.
a
But
little.
where did
It's
I put
basically
it?
you can see it as a square room
You
with a bunk bed, but the the top and the bottom part are divided into rooms.
Here
So
it
you can
is.
get either a hallway with a lower bunk or a hallway with a little desk and on top
Now that
of
we found the key,
and at your
we
feet
should get
there's
going.
like a
We
television.
can use that
so you
console
do get a
over there to
television.
unlock the
which is
elevator.
cool. You get a television in your room. But it's okay, like you just need a bed actually to sleep in. And
Yeah, I mean, if you're
an option.
there, you're gonna be exploring so much, and even if you did it like half your stay to cut costs, like the first few days because you're like wide awake and so much
Definitely.
energy, and then like half your stay you had like a regular place or some regular room. You could like split it up and do different experiences.
Yeah, I'd recommend it, for sure.
I'll have to show you the one I found that I was
Hold
looking
on.
at.
Yeah.
I only activated the
If you
elevator
have
on
a
the
link for
highest
that,
floor.
Sure.
We'll have to go there
Probably.
to use it.
Curious.
I'm not sure if I
I
saved
mustn't
it.
give the Legion any chance to reach the master
They just
controls.
I don't have to
recently
Google
built
it
like a
I
huge
must
mega
ensure the safety of the station
entertainment
staff.
store,
So I'll have to trouble you to
basically
take a bit of
a
a
whole
detour.
building.
Apologies.
And it's just like arcades and they sell
You're not
all
coming
like
with us?
all the stuff. Like all the
My leg is injured.
otaku stuff.
I'd only slow you down.
Manga and gaming.
I'll stay here and shut down the elevator once you've made it
So
to the
cool.
master control zone.
You won't slow
Yay,
us down.
level 14.
And you should be
I
able to
hate
shut
how
down the
little
elevators from
damage
the
March
master control
does.
zone, right?
I like that they actually read
Agreed.
for you.
She and I made it here safely,
Yeah.
and now we've also got Danhung. We're more than enough to protect you. Let us worry about the Antimatter Legion. You just follow us and keep yourself alive.
Follow us and keep yourself alive. Got it? Hook catch. Hook catch. I'm gonna go grab my hot pocket and then we'll finish this text.
Oh, I need to go there. Oh, that's far away. It's a long way.
They were really heavy on the lemon pepper.
What are you having?
Lemon pepper boneless wings. Essentially giant nuggets.
Dried nuggets?
Giant nuggets.
Oh, giant.
They're like,
Words are hard.
but they were really heavy on them. Lemon pepper.
Turtle going for the Ultra Ball. No, Turtle. It's ours. What's a Makuhita?
It's a fighting type.
What does that mean? I mean, like, what does it look like?
I wish it was Friday night already.
I can't show you because it's making me do a stupid tutorial. There we go.
No.
Thank you.
We got it!
You three got it. I didn't.
No, no.
Traces. Level up traces to comprehensive. Enhance your character.
I'm in a fight. but I'll
Traces
join
like
them in
skill
a second.
points. Super
Yeah,
Space
yeah.
Train Simulator! Yep. Genshin meets Final Fantasy!
Let's
In
see
space.
what it is. Hi, cute.
Yep, that's what
They're always
Makahita
like
looks like.
Skill trees!
Sumo wrestler.
Like I said, he's a fighting type.
Yeah, but I don't know Pokemon much, so that doesn't tell me much.
That's fair.
Wound damage increased by 3.2%. I feel like I'm playing Cookie Clicker now. What is it really? Star Ocean? I don't know. Star Rail. By the people who made Genshin. Max level reached. Can you do traces yet? Ooh, not yet. Oh, maybe. Yes. Max level reached. Next.
I didn't want to do that. Go back.
Act. Path trace 1. Click anywhere.
Fixer.
Can I do that too? No. Max level reached. Okay. Light cone. What the heck is that? Equipped. We don't have an item too equipped yet. Gonna learn about item encryption later. Gonna learn about this stuff. This is your constellation, but it's not a constellation. It looks like memories. Ooh.
Oh yeah, no, that's what memory is. Your constellation's different.
Light cone.
Your constellation is
This thing.
traces.
Yeah. By the people who brought you Pogs.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. You've been on Jamie Whammy stream a lot.
Oh yeah, I forgot she's got pogs.
She's got Pogs.
I don't have pogs.
A friend of hers sent her a bunch more too, so it's like, that's cool. If I find any at like a yard sale or something, I'll have to pick them up and send them to her. Anchor activated. Wow, we didn't even get very close and it saved. Okay, so, oh, we're gonna go up there, but there's a baddie right there. We can go kill him and get some extra points.
You're gonna kill a bat.
Baddie.
Are you
Guarding this treasure chest. And kick his booty.
It's too late to repent.
It's too late, dude. You can die.
You have the worst luck running into me.
Yes, you do.
Let's go.
Why isn't it working? There, I clicked off. The space train is cold. My nipples are always hard. I'm always hungry.
Victories don't guarantee future ones.
Oh wow.
Oh god. Recover all. Max reached. There we go. That's cool.
I hate that I have to like paint the poor thing on my fries so I don't have so much lemon pepper on my face.
You got what?
I have lemon pepper chicken.
Lemon pepper chicken?
Gonna have a
Ambush.
butt tomorrow.
Wasn't paying attention, I got ambushed. Jeez.
You're annoying.
Clemency? Never heard of it.
Scrape it off. Oh.
I'm like hitting my fries.
No.
Like I'm
Okay.
fries.
The time is now. The
I forgot
truth
to
of
do
life
that.
and death, revealed in an instant.
Oh, I clicked the wrong one though. There we go. There we
This
go.
sanctuary
Saved it.
is but a
Ooh,
vision.
that's cool.
Let's make it
Mm.
quick.
Wait,
Try hard
don't die,
sometimes.
don't die.
Check out this awesome move.
Get away
Let's
Dang.
go.
Alright.
It's too late to repent.
He's kinda down. He can't really do anything.
Watch this.
There. Took him out.
Past victories don't guarantee future ones.
GG.
What does Amazon want? Why are they sending me notifications? They want me to buy crap, probably. So do those containers eventually have something in them? Ooh, why is there a hand? Select readable item. Ooh.
They do sometimes a small item, but it's not as valuable as the chests as in Genshin so far.
What is this space? Ooh, treasure chest. Glad I looked. Then, boop. And I don't know what that thing is. It looks scary. I'll pluck my eyeballs out later. And... what? Ooh, that did something.
The repulsion bridge has been shut down?
Yes, to stall the enemy, more or less.
Stall the enemy.
This will strengthen our position.
Ambush.
Rules are made to be broken.
Show you an ambush.
Clemency? Never heard of it.
Boom, boom.
I told ya I could fight.
The order's still out on that. I'm not so sure you can. You can freeze people. Electro bat. Oh, you also get drops for this game, guys. You get it 6th. You might like this one more than Genshin, I don't know.
You do, or?
Just connect your... Oh, in my stream it should be saying that you can click on it to activate drops.
I haven't seen it yet, actually.
You might
You
have
to refresh.
Oh, I had to refresh for it to pop up.
Yeah, you might have to refresh if you've been on here a while, because I just activated it while I was streaming.
Hey, these shiny things. Are
There it is, yeah.
light cones? I thought
And then
only
if you
the
can link it
International Peace Corporation
to the
had
game,
their
but
stuff
you have
like
to get the
this.
game.
No. Light cones are...
They were acquired legitimately.
Yes, I see it.
That's all I can say.
You have the game? Sweet. I knew it. It's a free game. Why not?
It did count though, because I'm...
Link to my
Oh, no,
Hoyo
it's
account?
running
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, but you have to link Hoyo to
But it was already
like
linked.
you have to link it to
Select
Twitch
Nana.
though.
Hoyo is already linked.
Light cone.
Yeah, but not Honkoi or Honkai. Ugh, God. damn it.
What? Really?
On instructions, Havoc increase the wearer's
At
basic
least for,
attack and
like,
skills
you to
damage
stream.
20%.
Oh, for the
Ooh.
streaming, but not for receiving.
Yeah,
I'm not
maybe.
receiving.
Now she has a
I'm
theme.
not yelling, Sixer.
A destruction thing.
Fight me. Himiko.
She's always yelling. Gee, light cones. We learned about them. Also, I wanted to check other things while we were in here, because I just like to check.
Alright, it's linked.
I don't yell. Not always.
Can't do anything with the other shit. That's okay. And we already came from that way, so we just need to go. I can heal. So it kind of auto saves at these points, doesn't it? And it auto recovers and heals when you walk up to it.
Who's yelling?
Rain. She's always yelling. According to Turtle. And
I'm
Sixer. They just like giving you a hard time, Rain. You know it.
They're always like ganging up and bullying me.
Bullying is not okay. Bullying bad.
It's because they're scared of you.
Doesn't excuse it.
Nope.
I hate bullies.
Right?
don't care.
She's majestic.
I don't care. Let's see. Hot Pockets? Yes. Best dinner ever. Ham and cheese.
There's so much to explore.
Boot Pocket?
Are Hot Pockets frozen or are they just like boxed?
They're frozen and then you put them in the microwave.
In a toaster? Oh.
Microwave, but they got like a little thing to toast them.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you have to put it in the sleeve, otherwise it doesn't cook all the way through. It's
It
like
would
a
be
little
mushy
mini
and
oven.
it would be cold on the inside if you didn't use the sleeve that makes it crispy.
Right.
The
We
sleeve.
have those for cassouffles. Cheese souffle snack
Mhm.
thingy.
Little microwave pizzas have them too.
Oh.
That goes on the bottom of the pizza so it gets crispy.
Ah.
Mm. Mm-hmm. I wish I would have used an Ultra Ball for Toxel. Dang it.
Aw, is that it? We've reached the elevator already? That wasn't too many
Whoa. Yee! The scorpion horse.
Yeah, we'll use an ultra ball instead for you.
Move carefully.
Move carefully. Wow.
The truth
Oh,
of
I
life
have
and
one.
death,
Oh.
revealed in an instant.
You have a Toxel.
This
I don't know what it
sanctuary
is again.
is but a vision.
Is it like axolotl?
Dang, he's strong.
I love axolotl.
Enemy has locked on Mono. Ready to use the power charge? Yes.
Let me get
With
the
me
big
out here,
binder
how
out
can you lose?
Oh god.
to show you a toxel.
Yeah.
Use check mode to view the character's status and details.
Well, because I was afraid of
Check
being
mode
too late,
displays the
dirty.
current buffs and debuffs applied. Mm.
And then I was like, oh, I should have checked before, and then checking after, and then I felt stupid.
Look on view
that
detail
I
information
did.
about the enemy.
That's a toxel.
Toxel, I caught it!
It's a
What
little
check
dino
after throwing ball?
Yeah.
Look at Dino Baby. Does anybody remember that show?
No.
Oh, you're so cute.
Mm-mm.
It evolves into this guy.
Mhm.
That's cute. That's less
He's
cute.
electric.
I really like toxel.
Thanks for showing.
Yeah. I have so many
You
Pokemon
can't
cards.
run!
I just don't think I have a Makihita, and I couldn't
Try
tell
that
you which
again.
generation it's from either, so that doesn't help either.
Hmm.
I just knew Toxel came from the last, not Scarlet and Violet, but Sword and Shield, so I knew which card set it was gonna be in. All the things.
Ouch. Hmm.
Rules are made to be broken.
Oh, wrong button. Trying to eat a Hot Pocket and play is like a dangerous thing. I was dripping hot cheese on my hand.
Do not burn your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I told ya I could fight. Stay right there while I give you a present. Gotta try hard sometimes. Check out this awesome move.
That's probably a bad idea. Maybe not.
You'll get it. That was such a pleasure watching that raid. you were so
Lemon
careful
tea?
putting that in
Never
your
heard
mouth.
of it.
She's not even hearing it. I just watched you put that piece of nugget in your mouth, but so carefully, like. So cute watching that.
I'm not in a battle or anything.
No, it
Take my
wasn't.
time.
No foul intention. That was just.
Oh, no. Like very.
You're like, let me take a bite.
Yee.
Try that again.
Dang it, sister.
You can't run.
Alright. Definitely want to target him. Oh, I used the wrong thing though.
You
Dang
have
it.
the worst luck running into me.
Accidentally kill it.
The truth of life
Sorry.
and death, revealed in an instant. This sanctuary is but a vision.
My turn.
Oh yeah?
I just noticed though,
With
but a
me
lot
out
of
here, how
mini
can we
games
lose?
from Hogwarts Legacy are actually from Genshin or similar games.
Yeah,
They're not-
a lot
they're
of
not-
mini games are usually like roughly about the same, no matter what.
Battle is over. Yeah, it's turn-based. So it's like Final Fantasy meets Genshin, yeah.
Hey, sore losers! You can't just gang up on us.
Oh my god, those iron chows are so much easier to break with new one.
Yeah, they are.
Holy shit, it's just one hit and they're gone.
No.
Use
Why does it
Geo
always
or
have to get this exciting?
Claymore.
Anyway, at least you're back.
I don't know who those are.
Oh yeah?
Geo is the type that Ningguang is.
It's more like Persona meets Genshin?
and
Okay, I've never
Claymore is
played
the
Persona.
big sword, big two-handed sword.
You've been through a
Great
lot.
sword.
Oh, phew. Himeko, what took you so long? That last wave of
Persona,
antimatter
I
legion
get, I
came
get,
at us like
I
a
get
swarm
what
of
you're
locusts.
saying, Turtle, but
Have you ever tried shooting locusts
I've
with
never
a bow?
played
You do
Persona,
have
so I don't
Me
have
neither.
the way
I
to.
wouldn't have made a difference.
yeah, I
My
played
My orbital cannon
Mega
could
Mega
kill a
Man
whole bunch of enemies at once, but I couldn't just
Persona
blow
2.
up the space station with it.
It's
Herda
like a
would
side
not
game.
like
I did
that.
play a little bit of Persona 5.
Are you all
but-
right, Arlam? Asta's been worried about you.
Basically, it's just a turn-based
I'm
game.
fine.
with
Quick patching
Hello,
up.
nurse.
Basically, it's not like a top-down
I'll report the
tactical.
situation to
Right?
the researcher Asta immediately. Bye.
Hello, nurse.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Isn't that from the
Playing Red.
Navigator of the
Animaniacs?
Astral Express.
Dancing with me.
In other words, she's in charge of where the express goes.
She's
Much
the lady in
hasn't been any
charge.
Trouble for you along the way, has she?
Think carefully about how you want to reply to that.
Jiggle physics? Yeah.
I haven't noticed them yet, actually.
That's just
you?
my charm, and
Yeah.
I didn't cause any trouble.
Uh-huh.
You just
Both
have to
of
get
them.
used to me. Look,
We have.
Don Kong agrees, right?
We're a little bi-furious, can't you
I
tell?
have the right to
Mhm.
remain silent.
Well, that and Turtle made sure we knew that while we were still playing
yeah.
Pacha last
We've already
night.
gotten really close.
Mhm.
Come on.
So you can't help but
Asta's been
confirm
worried
he's
about all
correct, you know.
Yup.
Jiggle physics.
Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle.
Make her so horny. Oh my god. Oh, we get to be her. What? There you go. Now you can like zoom in and check it all out. There you go. I love her hair though. It's so
my.
pretty.
Her hair is
Her
very
hair's
pretty.
so pretty. Let's see what she does. She's checking out her nails. Combing her hair. It's a game by a Chinese company. There's always jiggle physics. Have mercy.
All the jiggle that most of them don't have.
Oh.
Stereotype.
You can go to the camera and check their idols. Ooh. Camera. There's a camera?
Hey.
Is that later?
Hi, bio.
Her jiggle. I'm here. What?
What's this?
Yeah. She's beautiful. What can you say?
You're welcome.
On your phone? Oh, okay. Man, they don't sell pillows like that at IKEA.
They do it at Akihabara. Honestly, they have the Kimakura, the companion pillows, and they
I
have
bet
like
her back
silicone-
hurts.
silicone adjustments for them.
Hmm.
So you have real
Yay,
boobies.
all my stuff. Ooh, I got circle.
I want to look around. Is that like a giant knife? That's crazy. A giant switchblade.
Ooh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like Serval's weapon.
See? Meow.
Electric
There you go.
guitar.
Now you can see.
Like literally electric though.
Fan service. I'm terrible.
Projectile radar tracking normal. Telemetry signal frequency unusually high. Maintain at normal levels.
You guys probably weren't even
Predict
looking.
that the Legion is about to unleash over 10 waves of continuous attacks. Everyone, brace yourselves.
Asta, we're back.
Oh, I'm glad you're all back safe. Arlen just told me about the situation at the storage zone and about his injury. Thank you.
You need to get in on this train.
In times of disaster, I realize more and more
One
that
ticket,
space
please.
station's researchers are its
Yes.
most valuable assets. Alas, we were ill-prepared for such emergencies. We should have built up our security and combat departments. But on the other hand, the entire crew of the Astral Express seems to be extraordinarily skilled.
my god, I have
What
to
is the
show you
current
guys
situation
something
on the
from
space
Starrail
station?
streamer. 2 hours in the game.
Situation
Oh my
is under
god.
control
Okay.
for now. The damage to our security system was minor. The intruder only managed to alter a small amount of data, so it was easy to fix. The real problem lies with the researchers. They trust Madame Herta wholeheartedly and never
Now
thought
I'm
that the
curious.
space station would be breached by the Legion. A broken spirit is far worse than a broken body.
Let's go speak with the researchers. Right now, the space station can't afford any more unexpected turns, especially from within.
So how long
Have you
before
tried
fan art and
contacting
cosplay
Herta?
of her is out? Probably
There's
already is.
multiple letters.
Fan art.
Definitely already is.
You know her, Himiko.
Cosplays next
The
week.
space station is but a mere warehouse for followers and rare items.
I mean,
She doesn't really
there
care
was
about
art
it.
already out, so
Yeah.
Right.
probably already started
matter.
doing that.
I'll also send a letter to Herta and tell her that we've
Was
brought
that
the
was
rare
that what the
item
streamer
she
was
seeks.
saying?
At least
Or
that
was
might
it
get her
something?
attention.
Oh, I don't know. Turtle will
Oh.
probably send us a
Be
clip
great
later.
help.
Wow. Is it good,
Open work.
Turtle? Or is it weird?
I sent in voice chat. Okay. Yeah, he sent it right here in this chat. He sent a link.
Oh.
Oh my god. How much money is
What?
that?
What the fuck?
Shit,
A
I
wild
copy pasted
animal here?
Ultra Ball. Fuck.
That's so much money.
Damn it!
Holy crap.
How much
Wilma?
money is that?
We're warping.
What's the currency?
It's a bunny! Oh my god, it's so cute! That's so cute.
Adorable.
Oh. What? Do you warp these guys to do
It's a
what exactly?
$21. So
Oh, warps are 3K US dollars, you're guessing? So warps are basically where you earn characters at your wishes. Okay. Warps are wishes. I get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like a...
You only get her for a trial? Oh, they would. The cards are basically
I
the
can have
weapons.
all my
Nice.
bubbles in one spot.
Your what?
So
what?
I get like I don't know if you've
Mono,
ever
you
had.
think they will
like,
give
the,
a free 5-star LOL? Right?
Yeah.
No. I know. She's just
like,
gorgeous.
I can have like a regular message one and then like Facebook too.
Oh.
Name. Dear Trailblazer, to better understand Trailblazer authorization, blah 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 blah. So I got all these things. I got drops. All these drops by watching myself.
She got drops.
Yeah. Play 'em all.
You're watching yourself? None.
Apparently. Serval. New. Yay! Redeem your 2 items for the inventory thing. Oh yeah, I got all those codes to redeem too. And I'm gonna have to make a TikTok. Oh no. About what? About this?
Now I'm curious. So for what? Yeah.
Yeah. Polio app. Yes.
What, the game?
Ah.
Or the jiggle physics?
All of it. I don't know. He's gonna cosplay. That's it. That's it.
Oh yeah. You should cosplay as the lady with the pink hair.
Daily check-in.
I'd watch that.
Why do I have to log in? Again.
Oh, the red hair goddess.
Because you're doing it for.
Even though it's the same app. I guess because you can have different passwords even though it's the same app.
No, it's because it's a different game.
Yeah, but it's the same app, so that's just so weird. But yeah, I get it.
You're breathtaking.
Hi! Just like a nice red head. Great. Let's see. Password. There we go. Hello, hello. How are you doing? Hope you're doing good. Logging into the app to get my free stuff. Got it. Let's see. It's only gonna give me day 1. It's not gonna give me day 2. I didn't start it last night. That's okay though.
So this guy spent almost 100.
You log into the app to get free stuff.
Taiwanese dollars.
Oh wait, Taiwanese dollars. What's
Yep.
that?
Ooh.
That's
And
almost
National
6
Express
grand
Crew.
in US.
I mean, it's less
Reward
than
distribution.
the
Thank you for participating. Hold up. Daily check-in is your reward.
6 grand is 6
Oh, grand!
Oh, I got 2
never mind.
anyway.
I did it right.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
And then was there a place to redeem codes in here
That's
too?
just idiotic.
I saw it.
Yeah.
It was... Where was it? I thought I saw a shortcut to it. No.
At least there's a permanent thing for reaching.
I know you can go to the
levels.
site and do it, but I thought I saw somewhere in here where you could actually do it. And I was like, what? They actually add where you can do it?
It's a thing. Trial Sealy?
Maybe not. Yeah, usually it's on the store. Yeah, usually, but I saw it earlier. I saw something that said redeem codes earlier. Wasn't my imagination.
Okay.
There it is. I knew it wasn't my imagination. I found it. But I have a lot of codes to redeem, so tons.
Oh, this is totally broken.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm in a trial. The combat, there's no sounds. Just grunting.
Wow. Lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, we all love a good grunt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god. You guys. Some of the codes that you posted in Discord, are those extra ones on top of what Turtle posted, or are they the same ones?
I didn't post codes.
Oh, I thought you posted a link to codes.
I posted a link.
imagining.
That's where you.
Oh, the link to do it via the site.
Oh, to do the code. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, via the site, not necessarily through.
Okay, yeah. There's 5. Okay.
I tend to redeem via the site because
There you go.
they're
easier.
time
Wow,
sensitive. Yeah.
that's gonna help with the wishes there. Or warps. Sorry, warps. Let's get this right.
Oh, I got the musketeer hat, by the way.
That's a lot.
From the warp. 4-star.
Guys, if you are curious about the codes, they're available in my Discord and the StarRail channel. Exclamation Discord. There you go. Exclamation. Just say wishes, promo, same thing. Less confusing, right? I'm trying to do it right. Trying. Let's see, did I Is there still drops running, or did I get all the drops? I'm just curious. I don't even know. I gotta go find the drops page. Or refresh my own stream so I can get it.
Combat with just like the voice gruntings.
It's not even gonna load. There it is. View details. I want to see where I'm at.
Don't you? What? Fucking game. Really? You know, those things in Genshin where you have to drop into a wind tunnel?
There's 2 more left that I can get.
I just did it perfectly and it bounced me out.
2 more drops.
Oh, no.
That's so weird.
For the gems.
Which warp should I be doing?
It only let me do 1.
Oh, I have 20 warps. I just don't know which banner I should be doing.
She is lightning.
And you use the warps in game as well?
She is fire, of course.
So you get warps in game.
Oh, it's different from the warps from the...
It's like the wishes in Genshin.
For now, it's the first one. The first one for now, right?
So the departure warp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one I should be doing?
Yeah, it gives you a character.
I'll leave the reassurance
But it's
of
not
the
the same
researchers
thing
in your
as
hands.
the...
If you have any other questions,
The
you're
one
welcome to
from,
come to Himiko and me.
If only I caught the
From the
antimatter.
website.
Look, another drop.
No, this is different.
Oh, I'm fine. This pain is nothing, really. I'm used to it. In fact, I should be proud of it. It's a reminder of being able to protect everyone. But, don't tell lead researcher Asta what I just said.
The cuff, did you download the game too? Probably. It's space.
There were
All
a
things
few
space.
researchers
Not
who
yet.
didn't make it. The rest are fine, mostly minor
Space
injuries.
train.
But I'm worried about their mental states. Most of them came to the space station because they admired
do my
Madame
polls
Herta.
yet.
But now they can't reach her.
No, save
or
it.
Even their own families.
I'm waiting to see how many free characters I get to start
I
with.
just hope they can all survive
Yeah.
this crisis.
The warp thing. Turtle? That's what I was asking. To confirm which warp thing.
My first impression was that she was the daughter of a rich family, owners of a big company. She was kind to me, though. When she went to the space station, I followed her. I don't know much about science, but I'm glad to be able to protect people in pursuit of their research.
Forever for Blade.
I hope all this chaos will end soon.
Alright then. Items attained. Whoa! Books, cards, things. Lycor. Gee. Level up, and the Ascension can both massively boost all stats for the Lycor, making the wearer even more powerful. Cool. More drops. Boop. And oh, of course I get a store in here. The store thing. Oh, jeez. What?
Oh, you found the store, didn't you?
Yeah, I found the Welkin Moon equivalent.
Oh, no.
$4.99 a month. 30 days. Shoot. Hollow's gonna get $10 a month out of me. I should have known. Should have known. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just stick with Genshin, giving Genshin my money. I like my Genshin waifus.
Push the stick down, Alfred. Oh, sorry.
I'm more attached
Sorry,
to the
I got the wrong
characters in
person.
Genshin.
Me too. Me too.
Thanks, kid. We're doing some pre-checks. with the
Himiko is
satellite
pretty cool
remote
looking,
sensing.
but
I'll hold down
So
the
far,
button to
she's the
monitor
only one
signal,
that I really
and you push the
think
control stick.
The
according
style,
to
the
my
art style is
instructions.
different.
But first,
It's not
let's talk
bad,
about
but
the
I like the other art
controls.
style better.
Up is the spectrometer, down is the filter, left is the reference level, and right
It's a
is the
bit more
attenuator.
Asian style. I
Our
guess,
pre-checks have 3 steps: turning on the spectrometer,
right?
then the attenuator, and finally
Let's
outputting
see.
the signal to the filter.
No, I mean with the
It's quite a
temples
bit
and
to
the
remember.
things like.
Oh yeah.
You got everything?
This
Dimples,
is more
yeah.
futuristic.
Are you
Yeah,
ready?
their
I
art
agree.
style
I
is to
don't feel
match the
like
spaceship's darkness. Yeah. Oh God. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. I don't remember. Was it up, down, left, down, up, right, or up, right, down? No. I think it was down, up.
Oh, wrong order,
Pay
kid.
attention, I'm sorry.
Let me
Up, right, down.
Push the control stick up to activate the spectrometer.
Up, right, down.
Then right for
Yeah.
the attenuator. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Too late.
Wonderful. That was very helpful. of you.
I wasn't
I didn't
paying
pay
attention.
attention
I
either.
was listening to Momo and Rain. I wasn't
He was
listening
in
to the
storage
game.
zone
I did
earlier.
not pay attention
He
the
didn't
first.
make it back.
Gosh, Mono.
First
I
time
know.
around.
Abraham was close to him. I don't know how to tell him about it. The top priority is to preserve the space station and concentrate on the work at hand.
Oh yeah.
I'm grateful playing the Trailblazer that we're not like super short, like Traveler.
Right. Wait, what was that? Something triggered. Ah. Why you look at all the things? All the things and stuff.
I need to leave. I need to run from this forsaken.
A colossal appeared.
No.
We're doing big
it's
Pokemons
impossible.
today.
I can run from yesterday. I can run from today, but tomorrow will always be one step ahead of me. Look! The obstacle detection terminal has recorded 142,856 attacks. The next count will be 142,857.
This guy's stressed.
I know in my heart that when I
Yeah.
see that hopelessly beautiful cyclic number, it will mean the poetic end of my life cycle.
Oh God, this guy's like super depressed about all the battles.
Oh.
Poor guy. Let's see. Of course they eat. Corey eats. What are you eating, Matthew? Who hurt him? I know, right? I want to kick their butt.
No one is on a warpath. Cover your butt.
Everyone
literally
keeps
looks like
saying
her
that. Things will get
thing is
better.
like a
Things
utility
won't
Chicken I
always
made?
be this bad.
What kind of chicken did you make?
Negative, positive, a negative of a negative is a
We
positive.
got Colossal, Kimono, Lady Rain, and Turtle. Not Momo. Poor Momo. Life is but a path to death, but not today.
Life inevitably comes to an end, but not today. How insightful.
I need a party.
Yes,
food.
of course.
Korean chicken,
The
I have a recipe.
closer you
Ooh,
approach
like
death,
Korean
the
barbecue
more
chicken.
You appreciate life. I will
Momo,
pull myself
you'll
together.
enjoy playing with Serval.
Thank you. That was kind of you.
Will I?
Well,
She's a
you will.
cat. She's a
No.
serval cat.
No.
Dang. Well, her name, she should be a cat.
Right.
They messed up.
What are we talking about?
Serval should be a
Serval.
cat.
The chick that you put on your ticket.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
enjoy it.
complete objectives in the travelogue to receive corresponding rewards. Day 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh god. Starrail Pass. Trailblazing Wheel. Invoice Novice Experience. Ooh, Trailblazing level. Yep, there it is. Level 25 and staying, right? Can't claim them yet. Darkest secret. Aptitude. Start trial. Steel. She looks so cool. I'll wait on the trial, even though I earned stuff. I'll come back and do the trials later.
The trials, what I was doing the combat and it didn't have any sound.
Oh yeah.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Ella. Look. Turtle.
Who's better, Naida or Nilo?
Natasha.
Nahida.
Yep. Is she the one with the stepping on cubes and whatnot?
Yes, the little green squares and then the giant green umbrella.
I don't get how it works though. I tried her.
Tried? How did you get
I might get her.
character?
I got a
She's
gold
just a trial character. I don't have her forever, unfortunately. I'll get you. You'll have a chance later.
Have fun.
So,
does she suck?
She's not great.
So you're saying I will like Serval and I should use Serval, so I can switch out what's his pants for Serval maybe.
Again. Sorry, I'm really happy.
Good.
I missed what you were saying.
Which one would she use? I don't think she can use these. Yeah, she can't use any. Oh yeah, she can use that one.
Holy shit, it was the best wish draw ever.
But aren't they supposed to match their type? This looks like a cute game. It's like
yes,
Genshin.
they're supposed to match the path that they follow.
Okay, so this isn't the right one for this one then.
It'll
yeah,
tell
it is
you.
Harmony. Think. I don't know. Yeah, it is. Okay, never mind. And then, did we get one for this one? Yes. We did. Equip. And then, I already have one. He needs one. Equip. Ooh. He gets the unicorn thingamajiggy. He's got the best card.
I wonder what the unicorn thing is indeed. Like, what are those? What did I say yesterday? It's like artifacts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Himiko's ultimate is fantastic. Oh my god.
Yeah?
Yes.
Himiko's? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm liking the game. Artist. It's made by the same people that make Genshin, and I'm loving it, so. Okay, so we're switching out Dan Hong for...
Okay, Mora is cute though. Or
Serval. And if Mona wasn't destruction herself, then I would switch her out, but she is destruction. So we can... Are Himiko trials in 8? Oh god.
You got Diluc too! A 5-star Diluc! Oh!
Yeah, same, nice. Wait, is that
no, you! I was just talking about yours. That's
yeah.
awesome.
I got 2 great characters.
Well, Dory's
I'm jealous.
okay, but yeah, Momo got a 5-star Diluc.
The character reminds me
and
of
I had him in the
OC.
European server too. Like
nice. I love Diluc.
Which one? She's awesome. Okay, we're gonna go do some
That's
stuff
why I
now.
was screaming so much. I didn't understand a word you guys were saying because I just saw Diluc and I was like,
yes.
I need Diluc.
Diluc is great. I love
I
him.
don't think have I been here yet? I don't think I looked around yet. I'll look around real quick, make sure I look at everything before I go to my destination.
Let's give him good artifacts.
Give him anything that advances or like increases
crit damage.
Yeah.
No?
Pyro damage.
I don't have those things yet. I think
that's okay.
I have like
At some
speed
point I'll help
thing
you.
and traveling doctor things.
Yeah, anything crit
Listen.
damage right now will be okay, but yeah, I
I'll
would
talk to
suggest
people to
doing
use it
it.
gets free stuff, maybe.
In such a disaster.
Instructor, I have that. That's elemental
A
mastery.
pill? Or
So that will
maybe
be good.
hide in a
So
room
my
full of
red-haired
mystic
one
scrolls
reminds me
and
of a nicer Scarlet. The short-haired blue one reminds me
bitter
of
coffee.
Arya, and the
So
long-haired
bitter.
blonde one with blue stripes reminds me of a younger
Oh, sis, where are you?
Janelle.
I'm so scared.
I think I've told you about some of them. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Burn away.
You may have briefly, but it's been a while. Oh, I just hit stuff. I didn't mean to hit stuff.
You remember?
I don't want to do that. Well, too late now. Guess I'm doing it.
Yup, you messed up now. Now you have to. I think you have. I think it's just been a while. And my memory is not the best sometimes.
Can I leave?
No.
Retreat. I'm retreating. Too high level.
Anything to pick up? No.
Thankfully,
Alright,
it lets
we're
you
done.
retreat.
Oh,
I'm not level 11.
I
in
don't
that-
see anything
that
else laying
level.
around. Alright. Hiya. I have a template of my OC and my friend's OC with a few details and a
express and
few
leave.
light descriptions. I
I'll
can send you a
stay.
few
But
for text if
Let's
you want.
go.
But I also understand you're streaming. Yeah, you can. Because there's scenes like this where I'm just like waiting.
my zone's defense shield won't hold much longer. You all need to hurry.
Oh,
I didn't do shit.
to Luke.
Yep. Again, that's why I was screaming.
We lost
Luke.
communications.
Are you thinking of going back? Well, let me remind you, that's the Doomsday Beast. The Legion's
Just
planet
remember, I
destroyer.
told you like I was sad leaving the
The
look
space
behind in
station
the
is Herta's
European
creation.
server.
As long as the Lord Ravager doesn't intervene, there should be no problems.
But we can't just run away like this, right?
Okay, let's try this.
The
little
Doomsday
funky-
Beast can rip off the defense shield like tearing paper.
Find the one I mentioned?
And
Okay.
Herta's not here.
Isn't that like
The
a
station's
quick way to go
defenses are
Wait.
too weak to
setup?
stand against the
I
anti
only bite with consent.
Either way, the Legion has the blessing of
You
the
need to be
Eon
a
on
tag regular a user.
They came prepared, and everyone here is not.
That's why we have to leave and take her
Is
with
there a
us.
hotkey for switching teams?
Run.
She's
Not that I know
that
of.
important.
She's the one who
Tell me
proposed
how that
Trinity.
works. Run.
Oh, she's so cute.
As you say so.
She's a Jin.
All right. What should we do next?
Yeah.
This is the supply zone where the maintenance crew works. There's a path here that leads to the railway
I don't
platform.
personally like her.
Let's head over there and meet up with Welt.
Mr. Yang? Mr. Yang's here too?
I wonder
Didn't
what her
he
voice
stay on the
sounds like.
express?
The Astral Express tracks our coordinates in real time. And with such a huge
see.
change in the space station's movements, there's no way Mr. Yang wouldn't have noticed.
Mm-hmm. I can almost
Oh, but the
guarantee
little
that your
floof
Mr.
she's
Yang
carrying
is
is
already
like-
on his way. Right now, we might be able to handle things if it's just the
Plug the
Doomsday
phone
Beast,
in,
but
let it charge, 'cause
destructions
it's dying
emanator
as
were to
I download
appear-
Genshin.
Wait, is it? Did you have it on before?
Hmm?
Is it your first time charging or
Kind
not
of.
really? You kind of have to do the first charge according to the
See.
book most of the time.
Yeah, fuck that. It actually
I
didn't
forgot
even
how to
give
do
me
this.
a book on the first charge. I didn't give it a full charge, but it's alright.
It's alright. I'll just fuck up my battery instantly. No, I'm kidding.
Being devious.
Just never charge it overnight. That's a bad thing with the superchargers. you'll kill your phone.
Yeah.
Battery. I mean, they're better as they were before. They're not neon or whatever anymore, but the superchargers are nice for quick charging, but not good for battery. They call it lasting. Durability, that's the word.
There you go.
Words are hard. She is
I lied,
slow,
there's
though.
no light description, just a few details. I should make those. Okay, alright, I did a thing. There you go. I did a horrible thing, artist.
I'm curious.
Oh, I gotta add that to my commands list now. I think I'm out of the loop. It was your idea.
Nice.
Let's see. I added it to there. I don't recall this, but I'll take credit. The bite was your command, so I converted it. Esper. There you go. I think, yeah, let's see. I'm pretty sure it was your command. Oh, freak, yeah. So I converted it to a thing that requires cookie currency. And there. I'm gonna hit that and let it keep talking.
Let's hurry up and get out of here. I'll explain later.
Oh, her voice acting is so cute. You.
Okay, we're gonna try Starroll real quick.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how?
Oh, I love her hair. It glows. I want glowing hair ends. Ah.
Mono, there is dyes that do that, like the glow in the dark dyes.
Nice.
Yeah, no, but hers just glow.
Yeah, well, that's something at least.
Yeah. The blue looks really nice, right?
But Mono, on a scale of 1 to, how do you like
1
the
to
game
what?
so?
I like it. 8? I don't know. It's pretty awesome. Not gonna lie.
And if you have to compare it to Genshin?
Genshin's still gonna win. I like the ability to, like, what is it, not turn-based.
Yeah, same.
Not turn-based. I like it. Oh, we're gonna... Oh, she's gonna get hit, and there's nothing I can do.
Rules are made to be broken.
I was doing a long glide and I
Matthew just
sleepy
sleepy cozy. He saw nothing. Oh, we do. I'm looking at what you guys are saying. I'd cut off most of it. I want to color my hair and cut off most of it. Ah, rigged. Can't ignore my text, they're just the descriptions. Oh, okay.
Who's next?
I'm not hearing it right this second, so oops. She's gonna be hit. Oh well.
Time for the main event.
Ooh. She plays music! Oh my gosh. When charge reaches 3 points, Himiko will automatically launch a follow-up attack.
You won't get away.
She just does stuff on her own. She does what she wants.
Told ya I could fight.
Yeah, so if you take one down or do a decent amount of damage, she will attack. It's great. I love Himiko.
Can I
Too bad she's a trial.
Oh, there's insufficient energy to... No, there's not. Okay.
What?
Protect you.
With me out here, how can we lose?
Fucker.
Let's make it quick.
So we know they're gonna hit you.
Gotta try hard sometimes.
Which one? That one.
Check out this
Let's
awesome
go.
move.
The one card I told you to redeem from your Hayo inventory is her weapon.
Let's go.
Is whose weapon?
Himiko.
Is it?
Maybe, or maybe it's no. Servals.
Hmm. We're just gonna take them both out.
Take this! Combat is a series of precise machinations.
Servals, Guitar Girl. Oh, okay. Is that the, did I guess I equipped it. Didn't you pay attention? So I was equipping all their things.
Try that again.
This song's just for you.
This song's just for you. Oh, I like her. She's cool.
Let's rock. Watch this.
Let's make it quick.
That'll over.
The best is yet to come.
Anything laying around over here? Nope. Yeah. She's cool.
What the fuck?
What? Lyric, thanks for the lyric artist.
Run.
She's gonna run away. I don't want to do that thing. Stuff. There we go.
Okay, either my space bar is filling or
I like artist. Like your character. You're probably not listening now. You head out. I'll text you those definitions, but I'm heading out for a few. Okay. See, I'm trying to like find the button on my Steam Deck for the new command I just made, and it's not there because it didn't add it yet. Oh, I got rain.
Oh, that's rude.
Oh, I need to put the run part on there. I should put the run part on there so people can run away.
oh, I love the Luke's ultimate.
There, I did it. The Luke is so cool. Yeah, oh, I didn't mean to hit that. Dang it. It's just like Genshin. You can accidentally hit stuff when you don't want to.
Oh, fun.
Meow! Welcome, Meow.
the exit's over there. How do we get to it?
Trying to see if I missed any. No one booped me. 3D Mono-sama. Kim, how are you doing? I'm doing great, thank you. I'm having fun checking out this new game. Yeah, there's a baddie. They're just sleeping there, doing something. I'm sure when I attack him. I forget you're supposed to click on the other one. Who were you trying to lick?
Licking and running.
Lick and run.
I barely survived that fight.
That sounds like Momo.
My turn.
Yep.
She's gonna lick and run. Oh, the target's on me. Who's gonna target me though? I don't know.
With me out here, how can we lose?
Let's make it quick.
Let's do this. Ouch. So when do I like get hills in this game?
Rules are made to be broken.
Blink and run. Happy you're good, Kim. I hope you're doing good too.
Wait, no, I traveled back. Why did I do
The defense
that?
was needed for March, yes, but she is the defense, so I don't know how to do that. How can she defend herself?
Combat is a series of precise
Maybe it's a thing.
machinations.
Maybe?
No.
Hugs coming out. Thank you for the hugs.
Yeah.
She's being targeted, LOL. I know she's being targeted, but I don't know how to make her defend herself. She can defend anybody else but herself, I think.
No, she can defend herself.
Can't she?
Yeah, you just have to select.
You can either defend or attack, yeah.
Oh. Okay.
And it's the same with healing, I think. It takes a turn to heal, which
Oh god. Well, she's gonna like... I don't know.
Gotta try hard sometimes.
She's mad now.
Check out this awesome move.
You won't get away. This song's just for you.
Yep. We're gonna kick your butt.
Turn up the volume. You have the worst
First
luck
dead.
into me.
No. Okay, so I can heal myself, but no, I don't have anything to heal myself with. But we do have this option, so maybe this will help.
Fight it or rock with it. My music.
Nope, no heals. Dang it.
No, I was gonna.
Ugh.
Almost bit me just because I moved my mouse.
She still doesn't have enough to heal herself. She's gonna die.
Well,
Let's go.
and you can't even defend.
Maybe not. You're eating good food? I'm gonna make sure he goes down. I don't care. I'm eating good food, delicious masala with chickpeas and rice. Ooh, did you make it? Only certain characters and items can heal? Okay. Well, was there a heal spot right here somewhere? I don't remember. Probably
Anything
not. Oh,
sounds nice right now.
Is there a heal spot? I'm gonna go back and heal. Probably too far away. Yeah, it's not here, because we teleported here, didn't we? Ah! We'll just switch characters. We'll let her take a rest. You may rest now. Traveler's skill uses heal? Sweet. So we'll eventually get that set up then? No, you have it. Okay, so the E uses heal? It did heat in the microwave? Okay. They didn't explain that yet, did they?
Use the control device to switch the repulsion bridge.
Not doing that yet. Out of combat only though? Oh. Oh, okay, so I can go to Traveler and then I can like hit E. Oh, but she just heals herself? Cool. Dang it, but then you use up your E too, so yeah. Full. Beautiful. That does not look like that's what you tried to say there, Meow. Meow, did we just hit it twice? I think we did. I don't know. Okay, okay. Where am I?
Love.
A wild love disc. No, right? Oh, check.
Yeah, got it.
I wanna look around before I go to that thing. Oh, we can't go over there, but we can't get over there because there's stuff in the way because we don't know how to jump. Ooh, what is this? I don't think we're supposed to go in there yet. But yet there's a heal in here. Would figure. But I healed myself. Got our great mons from catching fish. There. Come on. I didn't make it. You didn't make the food? Micro chef. Okay, going back and looking, make sure I didn't miss anything. 3 uses, got some great mons for catching. Okay. Yeah, I'll caught the fish. You like the game so far? I really like it. I still think Genshin's gonna be a hit though, compared to this. Still. This is really cool, and it's a nice change of pace in between Genshin missions, but I feel like they made this because players needed more than one game to play. Players like Turtle, who,
I have no interest in stoking conflict.
Who play all the things and run out of things to do, yeah, and Rain.
Also, probably money-wise, they need more people to spend money. If you have all the things in Genshin already.
Yeah. They're like, we gotta give these streamers something else to play. They did everything. The ones that, you know, do it full time.
I wonder how much money went into development of the game.
Probably quite a bit.
Let's make it quick.
Oh yeah, she can do this.
You won't get away.
Oh, she auto does her mess, I forgot. She fights when she wants.
Detailed overhaul.
Oh, I hate it
really?
in Genshin when there's a little thing sticking out.
Lemon Sea, Never heard of
Can't
it.
climb it.
Almost level 16?
Reach the end of the story in your own way.
All max level Hanukkah Impact and Genshin players move to this game. Yeah, I imagine. It's new, and they probably really burn out. I mean, they've been playing it for 3 years. And I don't know about Impact. I don't know how long that's been out. You live in a ship on this game? You know, I don't think so. We're just traveling on this train ship right now. We took a warp ticket. We're traveling. So we can go that way or that way. There's a boss over there. You defeat him, you get something magical. No, those aren't the ones you hit. Those are a little big. And there's a sleepy boss over here that I'm supposed to go get too. And a thing there. So I guess we're gonna start out down here where this thing is. Do you... I see. Yeah.
We need a strategy.
While exploring, you may encounter powerful enemies, defeat them, and win a bountiful reward. Fight the big one. Gives good rewards, but a little difficult. Yeah. I figured he's probably gonna... Oh, he's 11! Holy cow!
Yeah, don't fight that. Run away. Run away. Mono,
I
run
want
away.
you! Ah! He's after me! You gotta catch me first!
Listen to me. Oh, like I know anything.
Girl said I could do it, but it's a little hard. But I don't know. You're not turtle, don't fight it. Exactly. I'm not turtle.
You won't.
I forget you can check their weaknesses before you approach and figure out which one to use, but... Oh yeah?
What?
Time for the main event.
Yeah.
Sixer.
He's like, no, you're not gonna hit me.
Revealed in an instant.
What?
Hit it when it's about to hit you, right?
This sanctuary is but a vision.
This song's just for you.
How do you know which one's about to hit you, though? Can you tell?
It tells you on the left which one is next.
So you're just assuming that one's about to hit you?
No, like the left lineup.
No, I'm talking about when you're
screen.
When you're being targeted.
No. So like when
That's
you're
not what I'm
combat,
asking.
It's covered.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm asking, how do you know which one's targeting you? There's a circle on the enemy about to fill up before it hits you. Oh, how do you see the circle on the enemy about to fill up? The one that's most jelly about your beautiful outfit? Maybe you have to show me, Turtle, because I don't see a circle on this enemy. I mean, I see the target on the enemy. Or you're talking about over here? Like... out of combat is what I'm talking about. Oh, okay.
Perhaps you still don't understand.
You're not hitting my friends. Oh, look at her. Wow. She's gonna have a cup of tea and kick your butt at the same time. Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
You steal my heart. Okay, I need her. They did that on purpose.
Nah.
They want to make sure you never stop playing this game.
They got to own you now.
Yep.
Tell you how to keep your business clean.
So if you go up there, you can see his weakness is her, so she should go in first. I should pay attention to that more. So yeah. And then... Oh, I think it's a trap, and there's a bunch of people around, though.
Clemency? Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Time for the main event.
Turn up the volume.
You won't get away.
Clemency is a T, right? It is now.
This is our chance.
Calamel's a T. I don't know. Let's see. So. I'm an idiot.
Time for a detailed overhaul. Rules are made to be broken. You're out. Combat is a series of precise machinations.
Oh yeah.
Come on, come on.
Okay, last time you do it, then trying to talk
Step
to someone
aside.
to go to
I
bed.
have no interest in stoking conflict.
Red-headed Mono. Yep, got to dye my hair red again. Cosplay her. Right? What?
Do it.
I got more people?
Kinda cool.
Oh.
That you don't get like bullshit for your hair at work.
Yeah, I really don't. Not with just a little bit of pink. If I dyed my whole head that and I had to do like a weird color, maybe. I think they'd be okay with red. It would take them a little bit to get used to, but they'd probably be okay with it.
I mean, red is basic color, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Especially if I try to do more like realistic red, but now if I did like her hair red, I don't know. We'll find out. Like,
You're gonna do it?
I don't know. I've done it before.
Alright, I think
Nah, I like my hair blonde right now though. And I don't have time for all these games, right? Holy cow, I don't.
This is our chance.
Roots of Pacha, you name it, they're all...
I wanted to
monopolizing
continue
my
that
time.
one so bad.
The truth
I know!
of death, revealed in an instant.
I mean, you can play on your own save file too,
This
and learn
search
stuff.
Is but a vision.
True.
Because it won't let you join my save file because I'm the host.
Let's make it quick.
So...
You the ho-ho-ho.
yeah. Something like that.
Ready to lose yourself?
You're the host? Yes.
Fight it or rock with it. My music.
Yeah, I just like to play it with others more than I do by myself.
You won't get away.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to stay up and play
This is our
longer
chance.
last night, but I couldn't.
Perhaps you still don't understand.
Earn her heavenly tea time.
Humanity never conceals its desire to control the heavens. And I'm no exception.
I am. Toast. Herta is just
Reach the end of
just
the
as
story
bad
in
as
your own way.
Catherine. Uh-oh. Oh, there's an item. And then there's something there. And then there's stuff to break. Basic ingredients. Around the room. Anything else? I don't remember how far away the heal thing was. Probably too far. Or would cheat and go heal real quick. Oh, it's not that far. I just have to run from him again. I'm okay with that. Whoa, she's having tea and making toast. Yeah. She's on fire. Let's see. Don't click on this. What did I get? Oh, more drops. It's like red dots. Red dots must words must die.
Words are hard.
Yep. I feel like we're still in the tutorial stage of this game. Because, you know, you haven't leveled and you don't have, like, friends yet.
Aw, yeah, it's the platform!
The express isn't here.
It has to be nearby. Let me go take a peek with my sharp eyes.
Unity takes us. Ooh. A wild, why not? Why not?
The Doomsday Beast. It's really here.
Get down here!
Careful, everyone!
I wish I had the shieldy person in my party right now. Phantasy Star Online. I can't change my party right now either.
Move carefully.
What is his weaknesses? Does he even have any? Oh, that's his hands. Okay, so yeah, there they are. So that hand has this weakness. I see it. And then you have normal powers, so we're just gonna put you right here. No, you're not normal. You're electric. You don't have anything going on. So we're just gonna... Oh, that was bad. That's okay, it's her turn. Oh god, this is gonna hurt. Should have March. I know! I need March so bad right now. No, I hit the wrong thing. I hit the wrong key. I clicked the mouse instead of the E. I hate that part. You accidentally use the mouse instead of the E key. Why not has been caught by Kimono? Okay, can we finish his hand off? Nope, not quite. She's doing her own thing. Okay, so none of you guys really work, but we can just, like, you know, work on that. Just take a little tiny bite. Yep, we need March. March!
You won't get away! Combat is a series of precise machinations.
Okay, it's tea time.
You still don't understand. Humanity never
Tea
conceived
time.
its desire to control the heavens. And I am no exception.
Dawn's left hand has been broken. Yes, we broke the hand. Oh, I did it again. That's because I was trying to select which one. That's why. Oh my god.
Baby, don't hurt me.
Step aside.
Rules
Right.
are made to be broken.
Okay.
This song's just for you.
The truth of life and death, revealed in an instant.
Don't hurt me no more.
This sanctuary is but a vision.
What does that mean? I just said it and I'm scared. I don't even know what it means.
Papi? Papi is daddy, so.
Okay.
My tempo. Let's
I
go.
don't know. Chew in Japanese like kiss.
Ready to lose yourself?
I don't know if it's.
Fight it or rock with it. My music. Conquer us all.
And the time matter engine has been broken. Alright, it's your turn. Go put it out of its misery. I don't think it's gonna take much, but just in case, we're gonna use all we got. Oh, we still gotta beat its head.
For a detailed overhaul.
Oh. Well, I didn't know that.
Clemency? Never heard of it.
Does it have a weakness? No. You just gotta beat its head up.
Turn up the volume.
Completely regenerated, is preparing to attack again? What the?
Uh-huh.
What
Enjoy.
the? No! That's... yeah, no. No! What? The game's cheating! It's cheating! It's cheating.
You can do it, Mono. I managed it. You can do it. I promise.
It's cheating!
Step aside.
Chi
I have
Mono.
no interest in stoking conflict.
Cheater's bad.
Yeah!
The time is now.
Did nothing! Holy crap. Death. I smell death. Oh, now he gets 2 hits! Oh! No! Don't get out, Traveler! Okay, first we're gonna do this one. We're gonna see if tea time helps. It's already 10 o'clock. What the hell?
And I'm no exception. Let's make it quick.
Alright, let's go for it.
Rules are made to be broken.
Oh. Can I?
No.
Hi, Mix! Trying not to die! It's 7 p.m. somewhere. This is true. Oh, God.
You won't get away.
I'm gonna die. Hey, yo! Gonna kick my butt. Not happy about this at all. Oh, which hand do I take out? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Oh, I should have used the other move though. Dang it.
Never heard of it.
Oh well. Too late now. Migs! How are you doing, Migs? I hope you're doing awesome. Welcome to the stream. Have you played this yet? Phoenix Hearts! Raiding with the party too! Welcome, Phoenix Hearts! Thank you for the raid!
Let's go.
Welcome, Raiders! Okay, we're just... I don't know. We're just gonna do stuff. Playing some Star Rail 2? Yes! How can you not, you know?
This sanctuary is but a vision.
Let's make it quick.
Okay.
Take this.
Disaster's hand has been broken, impending doom! No! What a bad feeling! Jimmy, welcome! Jimmy, welcome!
Machinations.
Got our work done today, relax after a long week. KimonoKat and friends, yes. I don't like this at all.
You got this, Mono.
I didn't bring my shieldy girl with me. I have no shield. No, I don't got this. I'm gonna be like so close and die. I have to do the whole thing again. Welcome, Blackridge. Welcome. Okay, here goes. Please work. Oh. No. There. Anytime, right? Anytime? No. It just activated.
So
It activated. I was hitting it as fast as I could and it activated. It won't let you do it once it starts the animation. Welcome, Phoenix Heart. Howdy, Jamie said. We should hop on over here. Welcome, Phoenix. Thank you so much for that raid. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to watching me get defeated for the first time in this game. I brought the wrong character over with me to this battle. Mono did it. Oops. Yes, I should have brought March, and I didn't. I messed up, so I get to try again. Wrecked. Yes, I got wrecked. Isn't there a die death command? A rip command? Maybe rip? I don't remember. Yeah. I need to reset it to 0 or something. So is this multiplayer? I was wondering earlier. Not like Genshin. There's like points where they can come in and select a character and play with you, but not bring their own characters, is my understanding. At least that's how I heard it. Alright. We gotta change our characters. What did I get? Fathom the unfathomable? Like die? Until the light takes us. Activate 5 space. Okay. Thought it was gonna be like die and you get an achievement. Bullet time. 10 turns of action unbroken by enemies. Ooh. Let's see. Come in here. We're switching out him for her. Because she can shield people. Phoenix, thank you so much for that. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, what are you guys playing? Can I get a shout out for Phoenix in that raid? Thank you. And a shout out for Jammy Whammy too. Was playing Lost Ark. Nice. This game's free though, by the way, if you guys are interested. Thank you, Lady Rain. Death and taxes. That sounds horrible. Jamie, maybe that sounds like a nightmare game. It's a nightmare fuel. Was that a horror game you were playing? It sounds like a real life nightmare. I was playing Lost Ark and giving all the characters southern accents, apparently. That's nice. Well, howdy there. It's like Papers, Please, which I haven't played, but it was definitely interesting. Haha. I just finished Death and Taxes. Nice. I haven't played Papers, Please either.
It's pretty good.
What kind of game is it?
Kind of hard to explain.
Oh.
you essentially dictate
So you want to
who
go in
gets
with.
to come and go from a country.
Oh.
I kind of want to.
heard about it.
Wish there was baddies I could go fight so I could get all their special attacks all the way up, you know? Ooh, Astral Express Global Tour has shared 5,000 times. Here's are the rewards from the crew? What? Got rewards? Because the game's been shared 500,000 times? Of course it has. Everybody that played Genshin is playing this game.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be like 3 million before you know it, probably. I'm sure there's at least 3 million Genshin players. What do you think? Yeah, I wish there was baddies I could go fight so that I could have all their special attacks maxed out before I went into this. Would be nice. They even paid attention to their shadows. That's shadows. Look, the shadows run with them. Ooh.
Looks like she has long hair on her shadow, but that's just her cords.
Yeah, just her clothes. I just love the style. Yeah, it's very pretty. Oh, check out her hair. Her hair like glows on the end. And her weapon is a guitar, which is awesome. And then her weapon is tea time.
I know.
She's like a goddess, for sure. Luxray appeared. Catch Luxray! I downloaded this game earlier, but I just haven't gotten to try it. Definitely gotta try it. It's good. Alright. March is our protector. She's going in first. Does that mean she gets to be player 1 in the battle, or no? Or do I have to change the order somewhere else first? I don't trust this thing. I don't trust it. I'm gonna do something just to make sure. Because I'm gonna say that it's gonna put the wrong ones where I need it. And then... Because I say it's gonna put them in number order, not the order that I actually want to play them. So now she's number 1. Just being cautious. I don't want to die again.
Wow, no one got it.
Nope.
Doomsday Beast.
We tried.
It's really
Yeah,
here.
Get down here!
Careful, everyone!
No, I'll give you a hint. Do it, turtle. What's the hint? Don't die! Oh my god, that's not a hint.
The bare minimum.
Sure it is.
That is not a hint.
Totally a hint.
Here to crash the party?
It wasn't intentional, but I just happened. I am from North Carolina, so maybe it's just in my blood. Luxray Electric, 523 base stats, tier A. That was a tier A. Wow. And me. Oh god. Megs wants a hint too.
Waiting.
So I didn't get to pick who get to go first. That's weird.
No, I think it just picks.
Yeah, that's so weird. Okay. And she doesn't really have any bonus effect, so she's kind of the weaker link in this battle.
You have the worst luck running into me.
And then she can protect people, but who do I protect? The weakest link? No. Traveler.
me out here, how can we lose?
No people will take advantage of me? Oh no. All Star looks awesome. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna go for it. Start in trouble. And we get to barely do anything and get our butt kicked again.
Time for a detailed overhaul.
Oh yeah. Definitely time. Oh, that hurts so freaking bad.
You can't run.
New ideas in the gacha pic I posted. It reminds me of a cross between WoW and Genshin. Like bottom left to pick. Okay. Again, we don't really get to do much damage with this one. But we could add to the hand that needs a little taken out. Oh wait. We got a special effect here. Let's do that
Try hard
first.
sometimes.
Let's do this
Check out
first.
this awesome move.
Shoot ice bunnies. I don't feel like insufficient energy. So I hit the wrong thing, that's why.
My turn.
Gosh, nothing's gonna help. So how long do I know the shield's up for when I protect them? Bunnies of death. Herb.
What's this?
Let's go.
Take this! You won't get away! Combat is a series of precise machinations.
Yeah.
Someone...
It's the white outline around the health bar. Oh, okay. So I should have applied it again to another character. Totally should have. Should have applied it to herself.
Yeah.
Try that again.
Copy.
This song's just for you.
Yeah. We know. I feel like she's
You
useless
have the
in
worst
this
luck
battle.
running into me.
Yes. Do yourself.
With me out here, how can we lose?
Thank you.
Time for a detailed overhaul.
Getting close.
One at a time!
You can't run.
Perhaps you still don't understand.
Space Wafu for the win. Paul Kim. This game looks cool. It is cool. It makes me very anxious though compared to Genshin. It's not as relaxed. That's okay. I'm excited too.
Pretty good crowd today.
Definitely makes you think more. Okay, so I think you can take this guy hand out, but he's gonna recharge, so be ready.
Let's rock.
I lurk, love while in class. Okay, thank you. Good luck with class, bees. The animation in this is really cool. It's really good. I agree. Okay. Okay, well, she's all the way, and it's her turn, but I don't know. I guess I should shield somebody real quick, maybe? Like...
Stay right there while I give you a present.
Let's make it quick.
Ready to lose yourself?
Yep. Do it.
Fight it or rock with it. My music. Conquer us all! You won't get away!
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna do this, right?
Take this!
Oh shit.
Completely regenerated. Cause you're mean. Here it goes. It's gonna hurt. Yep, we lost one. Do it.
Combat is a series of precise machinations.
Oh, that hurt. Let's see what we're gonna do.
Rules are made to be broken. You don't say you're welcome. Time for a detailed overhaul.
Gotta try hard sometimes.
She, like, climbed all
Check
the way
out
up.
this awesome move.
So, Puddle's chasing her and she's like, over the top of the tree.
Combat is a series of precise machinations.
Still not enough to do that. Okay, I should have did that first. I kind of messed up on that.
You can't run.
Okay. We're gonna kick butt. We're gonna win this time. Now I'm gonna be overly cautious and heal everybody.
Out here, how can we lose?
I mean, like, shield everybody. You know it. Whose idea was to name her March 7th? I don't know. It's so weird. I agree. I don't like it. It's somebody's birthday.
So confused when I was reading the dialogue.
It's like the developer's birthday or something. Probably.
You won't get away.
I was thinking, like, is this the topic or is this
You still don't understand.
We're doing it now. Hello, I'm October 5th.
Conceals its desire to control the heavens.
And desire to control the heavens while I have tea. Knock your butt down, a few notches. Ha ha ha! Taste my shields. I don't know who named her March, but she is OP.
You can't run.
And I appreciate her.
Let's make it quick.
She may not hit hard, but she's sure can fight.
Time for a detailed
Nah,
overhaul.
kind of messed up on that, but that's okay. I should have saved that for her, but that's okay. Because oh wait, hey, no, we can trigger some stuff now.
Rules are made to be broken.
Do it. Come on, kick butt. I'm trying. I'm like nervous as heck. This is my two siblings, May 14th and July 8th. Oh my god. They gave me a free boxes of pizza? Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
Pizza. Num num num. Alright, we're gonna do it. We're just gonna do it and go for it. Although I think I should save the thing for the other one, but I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna save it.
You won't get away.
We're gonna take
You
this
have
thing
the
down.
worst luck running
Hopefully.
into me.
For real. Oh, does she still need to shield herself? Is this battle not over yet? I don't even know. I feel like she doesn't need to. But what if there's like round 3? I doubt it.
Let's go.
Gotta try hard sometimes. Check out this awesome move!
There's round 3, I'm gonna cry.
Let's make it quick.
Heal.
Someone, come on.
Yay! Yes, it's over! It's like the first boss battle of the game. I'm dreading how long these real boss battles are gonna be. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Is this how she died in the beginning?
What happened?
I must leave now. Must save your story.
Who is that?
Oh my! Oh my!
I got chill bumps.
What's that? What's his name?
I don't know his name.
What? What a jerk.
I knew he was gonna do the middle finger push glasses thingy.
Right?
They always do that.
Like, what the hell? I couldn't tell if we were having flashbacks or stuff was happening and...
Is this...
With that, I'm gonna go to Betsy's
station?
Betsy's
Good night,
before
Mama.
I get
Hi.
booked any further.
Okay.
Good night, was fun. Enjoy
Good night.
staying.
It's good
Thank
that you've made it through in
you.
one piece.
Bye,
You
everyone.
can rest easy now that the
Bye.
threat from the Legion has been neutralized. Well, this invasion seems to be nothing more than a random
Thanks, love.
provocation. As soon as the Doomsday Beast fell,
Fiercey,
Legion
ground
retreated.
type.
I guess I'll leave you
Best.
to rest up a bit for the time being. By the way, what's your beacon address? That way, if anything happens, I can contact you.
Beacon address. Is that my gamer tag? My UID?
Go see Hima
Or whatever
when
it
you
is.
have the time. She said she had something to discuss with you.
Oh, new message. Ooh, we can chat, I bet. Click anywhere in the blank space. Shadow of Destruction. Character menu. Falling star. Activate. Activated. Achievements. Name. Do all the things. Warp, travel, bookshelf, tutorial setup, navigation, bug reports, messages. Ooh. I gotta go talk to a person. Does this person give me friend stuff? Or is she leaving? She's leaving. I'm like, meh.
You're awake. I had March and Dan Hung stay by the express to keep an eye on things. It's almost
Himiko.
time. She should be arriving any moment now.
I've only been gone, what, a few months? And the space station is already in this state?
Uh-oh.
Welcome back, Herta. This is the true master of the space station. Genius Society number 83, Herta.
At least
Genius
give me a proper
Society?
introduction. Genius Society number 83? Of all my outstanding achievements, that's what you want to mention? Yeah, up to speed yet? That place you all turned upside down? That's my property. So, this little twerp has the Stellaron now? Huh. I'll have to take a good look. Truly amazing! I built a whole space station just to contain this unactivated Stellaron and keep the blue from disaster. Yet someone was able to achieve that with this little twerp's body? How did they do it?
Moreover, the Stellaron is still very stable in her body.
You're right! This little one's body truly is strange.
Think it's for kids, silly Cobra. Got away!
Compared to me, you are. How old are you even?
Don't judge a book by its cover, Herda. Case in point, that puppet body of yours is actually much smaller than her.
That's beside the point.
She's a puppet. It's
Hey,
kind of weird.
is this one the same kind as that March 7th? If that were true... Can I bring her in for some research?
That's not up to me to decide. You can ask her yourself.
That sounded sus. Oh.
Study you, of course. Your body contains a Stellaron, which in some sense is no different than storing a bomb. Who knows what might happen? Maybe it'll blow you to bits someday.
Oh God.
You should be grateful that this genius is willing to help you out. I still have some interest now, but once that's gone, I'm not studying you even if you beg me. I'm very interested now. So there's almost nothing I won't accommodate. A Stellaron in your body? How interesting is that? Be grateful that I'm offering to help you out. This is a service even the IPC can't buy.
Right?
You understand now? Herda wants you to stay in her space station.
Well,
Oh, dude.
I'm going to have to modify your wording here. This little twerp can only stay temporarily until the research is done. Or maybe I'll lose interest halfway through and they can just beat it.
And after that?
Not my problem.
You also have another option. The Astral Express. If you want, you can leave with us. The Express has its fair share of experiences with Stellarons. The thing you're worried about and the answers we're looking for are one and the same. Besides, we can come back anytime to let Herda conduct her research. She's absolutely fascinated now.
Well, works for me. Keeps this subject fresh, too. And that way, I won't need to keep worrying about this little twerp all the time. Perfect.
Go on the Express or stay behind. You really are the most self-centered person I've ever met. I think. I'll think about Himiko's offer.
My advice would be to get on. You're not doing me that big of a favor by staying anyway. Just remember to come back often. Make an appointment in advance with Asta or Arlen so I can make time to study.
There's no need to rush into this, Herda. Asta's in the Master Control Zone. Let's let her have a talk with Asta first and decide for herself. I'll be waiting for you on the platform. It's no hurry if you still have things to do or someone to see. Come find me when you've made your decision.
Okay. Well, you're right next to me. Can't you just tell me? Kimono, it's right. I need you. I need you for something good. Come in my office quickly. I'm waiting. I won't be contacting you later. Oh, gee. The McCoys left the team! No! I'm gonna cry! Game's over, that's it. I'm done. Stop. She left the team. I quit. Game's over. I lost Herta. She's temporary character. Gonna earn her later, but who knows when. They're gonna keep you playing long enough to earn her. Then I have my level 1 babies that I don't even know. We'll just go with him, he's a level 5. I don't even know what her ability... She's fire, so... Oh, dang. I don't know. She's only level 1 though. I feel like I'm kind of stuck with him. It looks like you can set up multiple teams though. Is your character human? I believe so. I believe they're all human except for Herta. Team name. Let's name my team. Oh, I need help. Alright, okay, so should we go to the office or should I call it right here? Oh, she just took a selfie.
I would call it right here.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll call it in the spot.
I already did it.
It's gonna be a long conversation. Yeah. Hi, ship. There you go. Hey, boops. Meow guard, you get the boops. Splash. Splash Pokemon community games. And licks Meow guard. You can run, Meow. Let's see. Hugs Turtle. Turtle gets the hugs. And kisses the bot. But that's it for tonight, guys. It is time for me to call stream there. You guys are awesome. Thank you for hanging out. This game is super exciting. I'm enjoying it a lot. I think it's gonna pull you in and hold you in more than Genshin, just because you're gonna like want. There's more. I don't know what is the word for it. Anticipation. There's just like more excitement in this one than Genshin, but at the same time, Genshin's one of those so chill ones that you're just like wanting a chill game to play with beautiful characters and voices and the art styles amazing. I would play Genshin when I want to chill, but this one's dang, they're gonna make it tough. I'm not gonna know which game to play now. I'm gonna be playing both. Thank you so much for the stream. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you get to find some characters with Katie Ben's voice. Ah, Katie, I saw her cooking last week. But yeah, this was exciting. I'm like, I want to keep playing. I would stay up all night and play. I could see why people stayed up all night and played now. Because if I didn't have to go to work tomorrow. Ah, jeez. I don't even know what to say now. Words, stuff, things. You know it. Joanna, thank you for showing us the game. You're welcome, you're welcome. It was an honor to show you guys the game, so. I could hop on PC and meow a lullaby so I could go to sleep, right? Meow, 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 meow. Or would it be like this? Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. What is it? Happy kitty, sleepy kitty, purr, 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 purr. Yeah, there you go. Except for you gotta do the hand movements like this. Soft kitty, warm kitty. Thank you for the meow meow meows. Purr, purr, purr. Yes. But good night, everyone. Thank you again. You guys are awesome. Rain says good night too. Lady Rain's here. So, good night, Jimmy. Good night, Meow. Good night, everyone. I will catch you next time. Probably Friday night. So, take tomorrow off. And I'll see you guys Friday.